All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's a beautiful Monday. Wonderful Monday. Glad to be here. How was your weekend? Ṣé dáadáa gbogbo lé wà? Ẹkáàbọ sí orí ètò fún ti tòní. Lovely Monday. Had a wonderful day. Hope you do what you did, what you're doing. All right. Today I have a number of things to talk about. I will get into that very shortly, but let me thank our folks here on TikTok before we can get into the conversation at all. Folks have been helping us, tapping, liking. They've helped us get to 44.5k likes. Wow. So Koboko, thank you very, very much. Thank you. Happy 71. Oluwanifemi Wamaka. Excuse me, Olusegun Sekumade. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Madam Osun, everyone, thank you so much. Akin Omakin, thank you very much for liking the live. Thank you so much. Shana Bankwa, I really appreciate everybody who has helped to get us to 44.7k likes right now on TikTok. It's a beautiful thing to know that we have folks there who support what we're doing and who ensure that the algorithm sees us. Once the algorithm sees us, then it pushes the live to others. So it's beautiful to know that you are supporting what we are doing. Having said that, let me welcome our folks. Everybody on TikTok, let me welcome you once again. If you're joining us on TikTok, thank you very much for being here. Please like and share the live. Right, let's try and get live to the FYP. And also click on the heart icon right here. Please drop your hearts, let's drop gifts. Let's try and push the live to the FYP together. All right. So if you're on TikTok, please part up, please share, and also gift. Apparently that does help a lot, right, to get us on the FYP. If you're on YouTube and on Facebook, we're glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining us. Please like the live and share as well. If you're on YouTube, you can also power tap. That means you repeatedly tap on your screen, and that helps the algorithm to get us out there. All right. So today we are looking at some interesting things that have happened, in the course of the weekend. We will talk about some of those things, and if time permits, we will discuss some things from the book we read last week. All right. So, what has happened since we last met? The appeal court has halted the use of hijab at International School Ibadan, which of course is the University of Ibadan. Then, of course, South Africa. We know what's happening with evacuation from South Africa. The last flight, I think, happened earlier today. Also, we have the ridiculous news of Peter Obi demanding Tinubu's resignation. Again, I think maybe just learned the word and is using it a lot these days. We also have other news, like what's happening in Mandilas. The building was sold, and certain things happened, and the developer was trying to do some things, and the government was doing some things, and it has become a sort of controversy. We will discuss that as well. But before we start at all, I'd like us to listen to an event that was held today in Port Harcourt, right? It was the Nigerian Army Day celebration in Port Harcourt. Apparently, the 6th of July is Nigerian Army Day. By the way, before we talk about that, if you live in America, I don't know what to say to you guys. I was going to say happy birthday, happy 4th of July, but this is a special 4th of July because today is 6th apparently, but on the 4th, that was on Saturday, America clocked 250 years old. America clocked 250 years, so that's something to cheer about, right? I'm not cheering because, I live in America. I'm cheering because when you understand, when you want to compare, at least you're able to study, in context, and to also celebrate a country that has been able to stand for so long. Interestingly, when you talk about countries, right, not the ones that were put together by force by some colonialists, but the ones that actually emerged on their own, America is one of the youngest ones. Okay, America is actually a very, very young country, 250 years. But when you compare that age to what we have, especially in former colonies of European territories, America has done so well, 250 years. So that's good. So if you're an American, because I know some of you are American citizens, so happy birthday to you and your other country. But Nigeria is home, Abi. All right. So back to this. Let us begin with the celebration, the Nigerian Army Day celebration, which held in Port Harcourt today. I saw a number of displays, very fantastic parades by the armed forces, or the army specifically. I'd like you to take a listen to the Chief of Army Staff, right, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu. He gave a very beautiful speech. We'll listen to a bit of it, and then we'll maybe listen to other things before we get on to the other things. Please take a listen to this.
Today, we mark 163 years of proud service since the Nigerian Army formation in 1863. Over the decades, the Nigerian Army has continued to transform alongside the nation, adapting to new roles and greater responsibilities. Guided by the virtue of selfless service, unwavering loyalty, honor, courage, and sacrifice, the Nigerian Army remains steadfast in his sacred duty to defend the Nigerian sovereignty, protect its territorial integrity, and safeguard the lives and aspirations of our people. This solemn responsibility defines the very essence of our existence and continues to inspire our resolve to keep Nigeria safe, secure, united, and prosperous for present and future generations. For this reason, our theme for this year's Nigerian Army Day celebration is protecting the nation and serving the people, a way forward for the Nigerian Army, reflecting our enduring promise to Nigeria. The Nigerian Army Day celebration profoundly reminds us of our enduring legacy and the sacrifices made for national unity and peace. Today, we pay tribute to the extraordinary gallantry, courage, and selfless sacrifice of Nigerian soldiers, particularly those who answer the nation's call to duty and ultimately lay down their lives in defense of our country's sovereignty. We remain eternally grateful for their sacrifice and reaffirm our collective responsibility to preserve the ideals for which they gave their all.
All right, we'll listen to more of that speech, but let me just quickly mention this. If you notice, he mentioned that the Nigerian Army has been in existence since 1863. Now, that would be a bit shocking, for most people, considering Nigeria is, just about 60 years old. That's because the Nigerian Army that we have today is the latest iteration of that organization. So originally it was called West African Frontier Force. And if you were here last week, we discussed this same West African Frontier Force that was started in 1863, and how by the early 20th century, you had, before it morphed into Nigerian Army, you had the place, filled with Hausa soldiers and even Yoruba soldiers. And so that essentially is what he was talking about when he mentioned 1863, because it's also possible for someone to say that cannot be correct. It's actually correct. It became Nigerian Army. It didn't start out as Nigerian Army. I'd like us to take a listen to the other part of his speech. Take a listen, please.
The lessons of our history have continued to guide us as we confront new realities and work tirelessly to ensure peace and stability across Nigeria. Today, the Nigerian Army faces evolving security threats ranging from insurgency, terrorism, emerging transnational crimes. Despite these challenges, our troops have continued to achieve significant operational successes, degrading terrorist networks, reclaiming communities, and restoring relative peace to troubled regions. We continue to invest in training, intelligence, and modern equipment while deepening collaboration with sister security agencies. Our ongoing modernization efforts and community engagement initiatives have also aimed to strengthen public trust and further enhance the effectiveness of our operations, ensuring that the safety and security of every Nigerian. It is important to note that this year's celebration holds as a crucial period when over 80% of Nigerian troops are fully committed in ongoing operations to combat the diverse security challenges bedeviling our dear nation. It is also worth noting that the Nigerian Army is...
All right. Oh dear. 1 second, please. You can. Thank you. All right. A little technical stuff going on here. We'll walk around it. I want to see if we can. I realize that some people reached out, and I see it here as well that they can't give gifts. TikTok is just being TikTok. Some things just don't make sense, but it's TikTok, I guess. 1 second. All right, but we'll make do with what we have, right? I was going to say something. Connect using other means, but we're glad, right, that they were able to have this incredible celebration today. The Nigerian Army, and also the way we talked about the responsibilities to Nigeria and to its citizens. The Vice President Kashim Shettima was there as 1 second, please. I'm a bit distracted. 1 second, please. On board. Just 1 second. I want to see if we can use the other device to make the audio be seamless.
The lessons of our history have continued to guide us as we confront new realities and work tirelessly to...
Can you hear anything? No, can you hear anything? Let me just be sure. Okay, it doesn't look like anybody heard anything, so we're just going to work with the audio. I don't know if the quality was good enough, but let's just continue. So I said earlier that the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, was there, and he joined senior military officers and other dignitaries at the Army Day celebration. I'd like to just take a listen to this while we get some of these things sorted. Take a listen, please.
Honor and repeat officer for today's historic event, and subsequently invite the special guest of honor to inspect the guard. A while ago, we witnessed the Nigerian Army aviation helicopters adopting Hawkeye formation, and especially welcoming the special guest of honor with a ceremonial flag streaming fly past. Leading the formation is November Alpha 010, proudly streaming the national flag of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, while November 011 carries the Nigerian Army flag. Together, these flags symbolizes national unity, patriotism, and the Nigerian Army's unwavering commitment to defending the territorial integrity of our nation while providing responsive air support to troops in operations. Distinguished guests, senior officers, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to briefly highlight the history of the Nigerian Army Aviation. The Nigerian Army Aviation was established in the year 2014 to provide dedicated aviation support for land operations. The Nigerian Army Aviation was established in 2014 to provide dedicated aviation support for land operations and bridge the gap in close air support to troops. Since then, significant effort has been made into developing highly trained pilots, aircraft maintenance engineers, technicians, and ground support crew in line with the internationally recognized aviation standard and best practices. In the year 2024, the Nigerian Army acquired 2 Bell UH-1 Huey helicopters, renowned worldwide for their versatility, reliability, and impressive operational performance. It may interest you to know that these helicopters were fully operationalized and inducted into Nigerian Army operations in November 2025 under the leadership of the current Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General W. Shaib, Nigerian Army Medal. In addition to provision of close air support to ground troops in the theater of operations, the helicopters conduct armed patrols, reconnaissance, logistic resupply, casualty and medical evacuation, as well as simulated display and flag streaming drills in Hawkeye formation during national and ceremonial parade.
So that's a bit long, but I think we've taken the bit we can. That was from the Nigerian Army Day celebration that was held earlier today in Port Harcourt. And we thank our soldiers, the military, for their service. While we're thanking them and while these people are celebrating the Nigerian Army, Peter B decided to put out a message earlier today on X and entitled it "Worsening Leadership Crisis in the Country Now Evident." It says the ultimate cost. One second. It says the ultimate cost of uncompassionate leadership, as evident in the country today, is turning citizens' frustration into deep, volatile resentment. It is even more traumatizing when the leader presiding over that collapse demonstrates clear incapacity and a lack of compassion. And then we went on to talk about your state, where they said the government and people of your state, more than 50 days after the abduction of the school children, without any tangible efforts toward their rescue, should rightly feel beaten and abandoned. And it says that on Friday, July the 3rd, he decided to travel to Ibadan. I never see this man go anywhere there is joy. Maybe it's just me. It's just me. That's what I'm happening. I bet to be up. But let's continue reading. On Friday, July 3rd, we decided to travel to Ibadan with Professor Pat Tomi to express solidarity with the governor, as more than 50 days had elapsed without the rescue of the children, and with numerous others still being held captive across the country. So during the 2-hour meeting, he shared his experience in addressing insecurity as governor of Anambra State. The Akuzu SARS thing, huh? Well, let's take a bit more. It says during the 2-hour meeting, he shared his experience in addressing insecurity as governor of Anambra State. And I recall that our President Olusegun Obasanjo and later President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua and Goodluck Jonathan would personally call us several times whenever we faced major security challenges. But to my utmost shock, I discovered that contrary to my assumption that there had been regular communication over the matter, Governor Seyi Makinde had not received a single call from President Bola Tinubu. I remember the only case of a single, but that's not cool, by the way. I don't know what's causing that, but that's not cool. The president has not called the governor. Some people are saying it doesn't matter. I think it does. I understand that these things that happen over the country, right? But it's not one of those places where you have it occur, quite frequently. So it would make sense to assume that the president would have called this the governor of your state. So in my opinion, I don't think that's very cool. Maybe it has to do with partisan issues, maybe it has to do with some of the things that the governor also said. The president has not, the governor has said some things that are not very cool on the matter in terms of the attitude of the president towards it, despite the fact that the president has sent the chief of staff, the NSA, and many of the folks in the cabinet to Ibadan. So it's quite interesting that that's happening. Not cool, but let's continue. PW went on to say that he remembered the only case of a school kidnapping during President Goodluck Jonathan's era, the Chibok girls. It drew local and international attention, even though the security agencies provided almost daily updates on their efforts. Nigeria and the rest of the world were outraged, and it took President Jonathan about 2 weeks to call the then state chief executive. I vividly recall that the current President Bola Tinubu led a team of vocal critics who called for President Jonathan's immediate resignation about the incident, citing his delay calling the state governor. That call for immediate resignation should actually be the case in this matter. But we wrote immediate resignation in caps. Today, under President Tinubu, there have been more than 13 school kidnappings, and yet the president has found it difficult to call the affected state chief executive after more than 50 days, over 7 weeks. This is outrageous. The long and short of everything for Peter B is that he wants President Tinubu to abstain. In fact, let me read it. It says, amid such an apparent display of incompetence, the president should either resign or at the very least abstain from seeking re-election for the sake of our dear country. This call is patriotic, not political. In Nigeria is possible. In Nigeria is possible, but not with Peter B. I don't think that everyone has the credibility to be asking anybody to resign, considering that his tenure wasn't that grand. You know what I mean? So, guys, I think there's an issue here. I'm trying to connect my audio with this live, and it's not working. So, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to have to restart this. My brother said he says the president didn't call him, yet Makinde refused to meet with the president's envoy. That's why I said there are some things, because the chief of staff, Hijab was in Oyo State. Nuri Badu, the national security advisor, was in Oyo State. A lot of folks from the executive traveled down to Oyo State, and the governor did not meet with them. So that's why I said maybe there are other things going on, right? And of course, you can see that partisan issue as well. And that's why the president has not called the governor of your state. Maybe that's why. But even then, sometimes just for optics, you do some things, right? So I hope they fix that. But this one that's calling for resignation. I mean, you can call for resignation. Doesn't mean anybody's going to listen to you. And you can't tell him not to run. You tell Goodluck Jonathan not to run in 2015 because of what happened with the Chibok girls. And how long did it take to get all the children? Are those children back? Anyway, please, I'm going to have to crave your indulgence. there are some irregularities with the way the audio is not working on this on another device. There's some features not working, including phase 1 to give gifts. But beyond that, even the audio, I'm trying to make sure that I don't have to use the speaker. All right, so I want to restart it. So, but to take like 5 seconds. Do you mind if you're on TikTok? If you don't mind us using this sound like this, then we'll continue. But if you don't mind, we'll continue. But if you don't mind, we will then restart. So is it okay to restart? Let me just ask on TikTok. I should change it. Okay, so let me quickly do that. And for folks on YouTube, you're going to see a screensaver on your screen, and it will last for just a few seconds and less than a minute, and then we'll restart. Okay. So go on. All right, welcome back. Sorry about that. We needed to make sure. So let's now try that audio to be sure we're good, and then we can continue with our session. We good? All right. So let's continue. So I was saying, or should I wait for a bit for our folks to get in? So normally we'll play music, but because of whatever, we're not going to play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some of the things we listened to earlier while we wait for others to come in. So let's listen one more time to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu. Listen to his speech at the Nigerian Army celebration earlier, that was held earlier today. Take a listen.
We mark 163 years of proud service since the Nigerian Army formation in 1863. Over the decades, the Nigerian Army has continued to transform alongside the nation, adapting to new roles and greater responsibilities. Guided by the virtue of selfless service, unwavering loyalty, honor, courage, and sacrifice, the Nigerian Army remains steadfast in his sovereignty, integrity, and safeguard the lives and aspirations of our people. This solemn responsibility defines the very essence of our existence and continues to inspire our resolve to keep Nigeria safe, secure, united, and prosperous for present and future generations. For this reason, our theme for this year's Nigerian Army Day celebration is protecting the nation and serving the people, a way forward for the Nigerian Army, reflecting our enduring promise to Nigeria. The Nigerian Army Day celebration profoundly reminds us of our enduring legacy and the sacrifices made for national unity and peace. Today, we pay tribute to the extraordinary gallantry, courage, and selfless sacrifice of Nigerian soldiers, particularly those who answer the nation's call to duty and ultimately lay down their lives in defense of our country's sovereignty. We remain grateful for their sacrifice and reaffirm our collective responsibility to preserve the ideals for which they gave their all.
So that was the Nigerian Army Day celebration earlier today in Port Harcourt. But we're talking about resignation, and while that of course is not going to work because the president already responded to him last week, and I think it's something Nigeria does not operate a parliamentary style system of government. He first said that after Starmer resigned is the British Prime Minister, and has resigned. He's going to be in office in the next couple of months, and Peter Obi let the president resign. And I think what he doesn't realize is that just because the president, even if the president resigns, does not mean that you're going to become the president. Okay, because of course it's a different system essentially, and even if it's not a different system, so cannot become president. Now that he's saying the president should not run, I'm wondering if this has anything to do with the fact that Peter himself doesn't really like competing that much, considering the fact that he has had to jump rather. I don't know what he would rather do than become part of the primary election. So it's not going to work. However, just to make it clear that the same governor that he claims told him that has never received a call from the presidency also talked about how they have received a lot of support from the federal government. That is the same governor, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State. I'd like to take a listen to what the governor had to say a few weeks ago during one of the events where he talked about the collaboration they're having with the federal government. Please take a listen to this.
Fellow human beings and slaughter him. Is that somebody that is normal? So these are not normal people, and I can only appeal to you. I can appeal to you to please have trust in your government.
One second, I think it's a bit.
Human being and slaughter him. Is that somebody that is normal? So these are not normal people, and I can only appeal to you, the students, the workers, the teachers. I can appeal to you to please have trust in your government. We're doing our best. I've had
How does it need to play? I don't know why it's not playing.
On the federal
How come Saka stop me? Hold on, please.
I can appeal to you to please have trust in your government.
Can you hear well? Is it clear? Please let me just confirm. Is it clear? Again, I apologize for all these things. The other stuff I did not help TikTok connection. I want to be sure that you can hear clearly. Okay, you can.
We're doing our best about the
Speech on law. One second, let me just start over again. I think I'll just get out of the app and go back in. Anyway, the point is that here he actually acknowledged the collaborations they've been having with the federal government, which is contradictory to what Peter B was claiming in what he wrote out. And like I also said earlier, I rarely find a situation where something good is happening and Peter B will go there and say, "Oh, thank God, this good thing has happened." It looks like he essentially finds a way to take advantage of bad news in order to prop himself up. I think it's his own MO, which is quite interesting. Let's go back to this clip we're playing this earlier. Take a listen.
human being and slaughter him. Is that somebody that is normal? So these are not normal people, and I can only appeal to you, for the students, the workers, the teachers. I can appeal to you to please have trust in your government. We're doing our best. About from the federal government, security operatives that have been here for the past 2 weeks. They spent their salary here. I've been meeting with them morning, night, and sometimes 3-4 times in a day. We shouldn't provide oxygen to the people that want to see us divided. The response at this time should be to pull together, allow the government to see this through. I can give you the assurance that our children and their teachers, by the grace of God, will return safely. But please, I listened to the NUT chairman. It is our faith. If the teacher said, if you say you won't go to school because of the insecurity, that is understandable. But is that the best approach? No, that is fine. They are our children. Yes, if that is the best approach, please, if it is the best approach, go ahead with it. But we will ensure that we continue to put in all the effort to bring our children back and their teachers. And it's not only school. In an atmosphere of insecurity, virtually nothing can be achieved. Nothing. Schools, hospitals, economic activities, they all will be grounded. And we know this. And because we're not dealing with normal human beings, it is going to be a forward journey. So all I'll say is that from the presidency to the state to the local, we will continue to put in our efforts. All the security agencies
from the presidency to the state to local government will that's what the governor said at that event, and it's quite interesting that Peter is the one, to become the spokesperson for Mr. Governor of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde. The truth of the matter is that while, of course, I would expect that the presidency or the president himself would call the governor, that's only normal. It's also important to not get carried away by a person who has become almost like a merchant of terrible news, right? Because somehow it makes him feel relevant, because that's where he's able to say other things and then criticize the government. You've got to be careful not to be swayed by such a person, all right? The same person who he claims is not having a good relationship with the presidency is the same man who has also come out to say that, with the federal government, the troops from government have been in Oyo State, so they get a salary in Oyo State and things like that. So that means that we have to be careful what we get or what we believe, especially when it's coming from Peter Obi. And of course, we know that President Tinubu is not resigning. Peter Obi is not becoming the president. Even if Tinubu resigns, Peter Obi can never become president of Nigeria. Okay? And also, when you begin to say it over and over again, it also shows that you have nothing up your sleeves, apart from calling him to resign, asking him to resign. Why you usually say the same thing over and over again, when you know that it's not going to happen? Okay? My sound? Can anybody hear me? So we ended the call because of this, and now I think it started again. Sorry, can everybody hear me, or is it just FFT? Okay, so that's just, don't worry, it happens. Anyway, that's that about this of Ibadan, where the student was abducted recently, but she has gained the Student Union Government of the University of Ibadan. I'm reading from the cable. The Student Union Government of the University of Ibadan, UI, says Abolari Tomi Singh, who was abducted, has been safely released. In a statement issued on Monday, Adobe explained that the released individuals are currently undergoing the necessary post-release procedures and will return to their respective destinations as arrangements are concluded. He said, and I quote, "We have been assured that our students will safely return to the university community soon. The Student Union sincerely appreciates the security agencies, university management, the leaders from the Scripture Union, and everyone whose dedication contributed to this successful outcome. We also thank members of the university community for their prayers, patience, solidarity, and unwavering support throughout this period. The compassion and unity have been truly encouraging." So this is actually quite nice. I mean, we would love not to have news like this at all, but we also, news of abduction, but we are glad that we have news of freedom, news of rescue as well. Moving on, I don't know if you remember the story of the guy the DG who took money, who was parading himself as, the guy was parading himself as a DG of an agency, right? Apparently, the police have now arrested his father and family friend. I'm going to read you that report, but before we do that, I want you to listen to the man. His name is Ademi, and this is what he had to say about the matter that I think is brewing at the moment. Please take a listen to this.
As meritoriously served for good 20 years and worked from minority leader, majority leader, and the speaker for good 4 years. I mean, he rose to be the number 4 citizen of Federal Republic of Nigeria. So the question becomes unaffordable. At what point in the process did reference to non-existent agency allegedly enter the official record? And if that are indeed present in an official documentation. What that implies about the integrity of the process that produced and approved those documents. For President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to accentuate his signature to a project that includes a non-existent agency according to his chief of staff is an embarrassment to this advocating government. My distinguished media practitioner, one of the question persists regarding administrative process, project lines, and institutional communication allegedly connected to this agency, if it doesn't exist. The state acclaimed non-existent agency as domiciliary and every single account of the of Nigeria. So what chief of staff is telling Nigeria is that the CBN governor, with his 4 deputies, 16 capital directors, and over 3,000, over 5,000 staff are clueless not to have dictated the fraudulent document for opening accounts.
Last week, we went into the details of how this may have been done. We talked about an agency of government that was created by the Buhari administration years ago and has been almost moribund. And it's possible that the vacuum created has given the opportunity for this gentleman to, create a new agency that has now become the subject of a lot of controversy at the moment. But while he's busy talking on social media and speaking to newsmen, that last week we also heard his interview with Shewan Kimberley on Channels TV. Well, while he's busy doing that, according to Femi Falana, the police arrested the father of PFIPC DG and family friend of the Nation. So let me read the report to you from the cable. Okay. Femi Falana, a human rights lawyer, says police officers have arrested the father of Adeyemi, Director General of the purported Residential Fiscal and Infrastructure Projects Council, PFIPC, in Ogbomoso, Oyo State. Falana disclosed the development in a telephone conversation with journalists on Monday. He said police operatives stormed the family's residence and arrested Adeyemi's father alongside a family friend who was visiting the home. I remember the proper Yoruba way of saying it. Anyway, he said police operatives stormed the family's residence and arrested Adeyemi's father alongside a family friend who was visiting the home. He said, and I quote, police have now stormed the house of the parents of Prince Adeyemi, Adeyemi Dynasty, behind Technical College Road. Behind Technical College Road Safety Area. That's from Falana. The father has been arrested. There is no legal basis for substitute arrest. The young man has promised to show up in court, so why arrest his father? Residents in the neighborhood also confirmed the incident. One resident who asked not to be named told Punch that the officers arrived in 4 vehicles before taking Adeyemi's father away. The resident said they came with 4 vehicles and decided harassing them and eventually took their father away. It did not allow the neighbors to intervene before they took him away. At the moment, there's a man in blue clothes patrolling the area. So that's that. I don't know why this is happening, especially since the gentleman said he would be available for questioning. In case you were not here to listen to that particular interview, I'll just play a few clips for you. This was where she asked him when the organization was formed and how he got letter of appointment. Take a listen again to Shewan Kimberley, Politics Today, talking to Adeyemi.
That you headed, you said, because they said you don't have a letter of appointment. Did you get a letter of appointment?
Mr. Shewan, definitely I have a letter of appointment. However, since the matter is in the court, I won't be able to say much about it. However, I'm on a medication. I'm a bit down, I'm sick, so I'm trying to take care of myself.
When you say that...
One second, I'll bring you along. The point, though, is since he is saying that, since he has said that he will be available for, he's going to court and all of those things, I think there should be no reason for all of this. All right, there's another clip that's a bit longer where he was talking about how, to be honest, most of the interview concept was just saying that there's nothing to say. HRH, I think it's the app. I think it's the app. Like, we've done everything. We even have to shut down the live and restart it. I think it's the app. So just going to work with it the way it is, if you don't mind. So that's me
Connecting the cable just one more time. I hope it works better now. Thank you very much for alerting me. All right, so I was saying that if you listen to the entire interview, for most of the questions that he was asked, he kept talking about how, he's going to court, and there'll be no issue since he's already going to court. He doesn't have to talk about some of those things. I want to play you some of the clips very quickly before we go on to other things. This is when he was asked a question, how he got an office in the Federal Secretariat, and if he had ever met the Chief of Staff, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. Take a listen to this.
How you got an office in the Federal Secretariat? SGF denies you, the federal government denies you. Have you personally met Mr. Gbajabiamila physically before?
Yes, sir. All those one will be sorted out in the court. I won't want to say much about it.
Who was funding the salaries of your you have about 300 staff. Was this coming from the federal government?
Mr. Shield, the truth will be unraveled at the court of law.
So I was wondering, what exactly was he on TV for? If the truth to be unraveled, he kept saying the truth to be unraveled, the truth to be unraveled. Erotic pride, I promise you, I think if I have the time, and I think I will probably create that time today to respond to you. Just give me some time, okay? No, don't remove him. I want to actually respond to him, but thank you for muting him though. What you said about I will respond if I have the time. Not that you are that important, but because what you said needs to be corrected. Okay, but while we're going to come back to that later. All right, you are sending your request to come and do what? This is not a place for nuisance. You have to go to the asylum. Erotic pride, that's where you belong. Okay, thank you for your understanding. Let's go on to the other clip about the question if he got his appointment from Femi Gbajabiamila. He said,
your stance and the inference you are making is to the extent that you are saying as far as your appointment is concerned. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And that you got the confirmation of the appointment through Mr. Gbajabiamila's office. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You say that there is a go between you and Mr. Gbajabiamila, and the said man is dead. Is the death of the person linked to this appointment?
Let the court indicate all those things, Mr. Shaw.
All right. By the way, thank you very much. Someone said the audio is good now. Thank you. And thanks to HRH. Let me clap for HRH because you're hearing that fact in my earpiece, I can't. But as long as it's good for you, then it's good for me. So thank you, HRH, and thank you for everybody in the comment section who insisted that I did something about the audio. Anyway, I'd like to listen to this bit where okay, I think we'll listen to most of it. To be honest, this particular clip just kept saying that the court will deal with it, which I don't think is something we need to hear. I already know that I thought the court will deal with it, so I'll just move from that. All right. Moving on to other news items. We'll hope that this comes out nice. What will come out nice, to be honest? Now we'll get to know exactly what this is about. I think that's really what the issue is now at this moment. Thank you very much for the gift, Dan. Thanks a lot. I think we're hoping that at some point we're going to know exactly what happened, and justice will be served. and other things that we do. I mean, I can't say much about it because most of the information, the ones we know are the ones we can talk about. The ones we don't know, we wait for reports to sort that. Moving on, we're still in the presidency. I'd like you to listen to an interview conducted recently that featured an essay to President Bola Tinubu on economic matters, where he spoke on Nigeria's economy under the president. This is Dr. Fashua, and it was on Channel TV, Solid Politics, and they had an interesting conversation. Take a listen to some of the clips here. Take a listen, please.
We're going to be looking at 35% debt to GDP. The official exchange rate is what it is. I told you about the behavioral changes it has caused in Nigeria and how it is helping to drive, local businesses. Because we cannot continue to import for cheap. Nigeria is a large economy. The people who have been importing have been making a kill in this economy. Let that slow down. No serious economy continues to drive import. Next report says that we're going to get to 58 billion by the end of this year. That's what is in here.
And you know the fundamental, the major causal agent for this, right?
Tell me about it. Let me show you this. If you look at the change,
I want you to land on
Nigeria's export has increased year on year by about 30-35%. We are more on the export side now. Not only Jet A1 fuel or other refined products. Even in terms of commodity, we're doing so well. Nigeria's import has also reduced. Okay. People has reduced about 30% as well, and that is key why you are having this foreign reserves. And it's not about borrowing dollars and all of that, or maybe foreign portfolio investors. This is solid, 51 billion, and like I said, you can see it here. If you have the IMF articulate report, Article 4 report, that Nigeria's reserve is supposed to close at $58 billion this year. So listen, if you have shown about 6 things here, and about 4 of them are positive. The first one is positive. Employment rate is, maybe you can say it's flat. Public debt looks negative, but I've explained to you. Official exchange rate looks negative, but I've also explained to you. Reserve looks positive. Growth looks positive. 3 or 4 of these items look positive. And I think that that's a pass mark from government.
And that's a...
Here's what that before we talk about that later, take a listen to this.
On a daily basis. So the solution to poverty, really, that I'm talking about, is actually at the local government level, and that's the reason why the president has advocated for local government autonomy and has also ensured that the states are a lot more powerful now in terms of the funding that they're getting. And I mentioned to you the fact that, those days where civil servants will be owed 18 months, 12 months, 6 months, is gone. Pensioners are getting their money and all that. And I think that's where it matters. And of course, if opposition will think that it's a government that actually pushes finances to the state and the local governments, okay, that ensures that salaries are paid on time and the most vulnerable part of our population actually gets something. So I'm saying that, look, I can tell you.
I wonder what your party will be telling the average Nigerian people.
I can tell you that, honestly, for the very poor people in this country, the situation is getting better and perhaps better than it used to be, honestly. Because if you are losing money to local government and to state government, that is where it's at. Bola Tinubu cannot go and give the local man. Let me tell you, the lessons learned from the China poverty eradication program. What they did was to get documentation on every household. So if you really want to solve this poverty problem, you are talking about getting documentation on each household. Because the federal government knows that you cannot do that. You can only do that through the local government, through the state government. And so these monies that have been pushed to them is what is going to win the election for us. I have no doubt that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is coming back in 2027 anyway.
On what basis?
On the basis of what I've just told you. Replay what I just told you in the last 5 minutes and you see the basis.
All right.
Because the real action is at the state and the local government, and that's where the people live.
All right.
Now, you can argue that that's the spokesman, his special advisor to the president, so it makes sense that we say what he said. But I'd like you to take a listen to the World Bank's country director of Nigeria, Matthew Vegas, and this is what he said about Nigeria's economy, and it looks like we are we're getting a lot better than we used to be. Take a listen to this.
Nigeria borrows for the same reasons that all countries borrow. If you want to get results, if you want to deliver results to people, then the money that you have on an annual basis is not enough. So you borrow, you get results, and that will improve your ability to pay back. So to be able to connect, to give energy to 32 million Nigerians, Nigeria needs to borrow money now, but that money, with that increased access to energy, Nigeria will become a wealthier country, and it'll be then possible to pay back. So this is why not just Nigeria, but all countries borrow, because investments are lumpy, they are large, the payoffs come in the future, and this is a way to make that possible to lead to better outcomes. Now, is Nigeria too indebted? Will it be able to pay back? Well, when we looked at the numbers, Nigeria is a moderately indebted country, meaning it has less debt relative to its economy than most of its neighbors in many other countries. So Nigeria is in a very different situation than Ghana, for example, which is going through a debt restructuring. So Nigeria, from our assessment, Nigeria doesn't have a high indebtedness problem. It has a low revenue problem. That the revenues, Nigeria's debt is not particularly high, and in fact, it's quite moderate by international standards. Its revenues are very low by international standards, and unless those revenues are raised, then it will not be able to pay back debt. So the critical focus should be, in our view, on increasing revenues, and that is happening. And that will then allow Nigeria to be able to invest in its people, invest in infrastructure that will lead to better jobs and better outcomes and lower poverty.
All right. That's the World Bank country director for Nigeria, Matthew Vegas, and like I always say, I'm not an expert in everything. Economists seem to agree with him, and he seems to agree with the presidency and the economic plan of the president in recent times, particularly as it has to do with increasing revenue, particularly with taxes coming up. Although we also know that they're not taxing everybody the same. I mean, the way people have been parting it. Folks who said, for instance, last year that from January, Nigerian government will be dipping their hands in the bank account to remove taxes. I don't know where they are today. I mean, they would like to also explain how much the government is taking from their money in their bank accounts. Apparently, that did not happen. So that tells you that people like that should not be trusted. They cannot be trusted because they're just a bunch of liars. It appears that the government is actually structuring the country in such a way that the people who should pay more taxes will be paying more taxes, and people who are not supposed to be paying too much will not be paying as much as they were paying even before. And I think that would eventually help with the new problem that he highlighted earlier. Still on, okay, I think we're done with money matters for now. We're just going to go straight to environmental issues. So you must have seen clips of flooding in different parts of the world, actually. Although there was this clown who shared a picture and said, oh, look at this Lagos that's sustainably built or something like that. Turns out the picture he was sharing was from Ghana. Okay, that's why I said some people just want Lagos to fail, or want Nigeria to fail, and they still want to become the president. They want their faith to become the president of Nigeria. It will never happen. You cannot eat what you eat. Anyway, the point is, there have been floods in different parts of the world, but different, Nigeria as well. And I'm just going to read a report about things that have to do with us, right, in Lagos, and then we'll listen to the Commission for Environmental Legislation and what the municipal government is going to be doing to ensure that all this flooding will not go seas. Let's begin with a report from Channel TV. Lagos floods, we cannot. Okay, we'll find a way to make it from there. We cannot fight against nature. Environmentalists call on the government to take on obstruction disruptors. Yeah, I'll take that again. Lagos floods, we cannot fight against nature. Environmentalists call on government to take on obstructors. Take a listen to this. Might take a second, just hold on please.
Powerful websites you need to know about.
Don't worry, we'll talk about the website later. No, it's YouTube, so that's why we're listening to the app. Take a listen to this one. It's a bit long. We're not going to listen to everything, just a bit.
But I'm going to also blame a lot of you because, we are all government. For instance, I was saying the Commissioner of Environment was a citizen before he was appointed a commissioner. After his tenure, he will stop being a commissioner. He'll come back to being a citizen. So any of us can be the Honorable Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources. So for some people to just go and fill wetlands indiscriminately without recourse to the natural flow of water or to the canals, then putting every other person into trouble, as we have witnessed, is the main cause of this issue. And when you have wetlands and people think they are wasteland waiting to be sandfilled without any recourse to providing sponges, because wetlands are natural sponges, when nature takes its natural course of raining during this period of season, it will definitely, water necessarily have to find its level. So when we don't create that place for water to find its level, and we go to build our posh houses, then water will find its way into our posh houses, into our well-furnished sitting rooms and our garages with our posh cars, and then it will find its way there. So that is the situation that we are finding. And then on top of that, apart from the fact that we sandfill wetlands, then the drainages that are supposed to serve as, where government has put drainages that are supposed to serve as conduits to channel this water where they are supposed to be, are then blocked. By who? By citizens. Indiscriminate dumping of our refuse and so on. So these are some of the factors that complicate what we have seen. But majorly is the sandfilling of our wetlands. And this started years ago. Today is the years ago of tomorrow. So whatever we are doing today will have the repercussions for tomorrow. So the question is, have we learned from what we did wrong yesterday that we are paying the price today? And then we are continuing the same trajectory today, and we're going to pay the price subsequently tomorrow.
You know, the interesting thing is when this whole thing started, I think it was a couple of weeks ago in Lagos particularly, rather than people look at whatever the citizens may have contributed to it. Do you know what a lot of people said? They said it was because of the coastal road. Right? Turns out, that wasn't even the culprit. Apparently, as it happened in Lagos, also happened in other states. And just like the gentleman mentioned, a lot of times the way people fill spaces and build houses on them actually eventually affects the environment itself. Like I said, as it's happening in Lagos State, it's also happening in Lagos State. And the Commissioner for Environment was on Channels TV. His name is Dimeji Oresanya. And here he talks about, the fact that the state government will break buildings on drainage ways and punish indiscriminate water disposal. Take a listen.
How many years now? I know you always go around this period, June, July, August. You always move around, go to come to Sherry here, go to the Wawa area and some of the communities, Magura, along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, those axes where flood is always a perennial thing. So, how concerned are you this year? Or is it business as usual, Mr. Resoya?
I believe the NIMET alert is an annual alert, and it's we get the early warning. The warning comes early enough and allows for preparation for the season. Let me correct you one way. For Ogun State, the kind of devastation with flood that we have, we have two seasons of flooding in Ogun State. All right, the early flooding and the later flooding.
And the early flooding is the flash flood. The later one is the river or coastal flooding that we have in Ogun State. And for us in Ogun State, the flash flood, it's any kind of devastation you may have there is man-made. Because Ogun State is steeply, you have hills that can allow the easy passage of rainfall, which is intense, really, for tropic area. If it's a flat terrain like Lagos, you have a retention of that water for a long time before it can recede into the sea. And that is why you have that large retention of water. But within few hours, the water will either be absorbed by the soil or it will regress into the sea. For us in Ogun State, you don't have such retention in the early part of the year. Talking about April, May, June, July. July is when you have the highest. And whenever we have such intense rainfall like the one we had recently, you always have a runoff. The only thing that can happen in Ogun State is that those runoff, if you impede the flow or channel, the water can be aggressive and it can abrade. It can tear up soil, it can tear up building, and if you find yourself along the line, you can be washed off. So that's why we have a different terrain between Lagos and Ogun. Now, the period where we have our own concern in Ogun State, usually the latter flooding, which is the river flooding or the coastal flooding, and that is when you have the tidal lock around the month of September. You will see me coming towards the area and the rest of around September to see how things are moving on. Though we have made our preparation to curtail this, but this is a natural event. You have the tidal lock, you have a high tide during the month of end of September to first week in October or second week in October. That's the range of the time where we have a tide. That tide will impede the flow of Ogun River. And the water, because there's an impediment to flow, to empty itself into the lagoon, the water will spread laterally. And wetlands in Ogun, that's when you are threatened with this lateral flow. And that's why you see us coming to see what's going on. Though we will have done our preparation. For example, at the Sherry there, we have dredged the Oparo River. That's a river adjoining the Ogun River to allow reticulation. Because when you have a lockdown, the water must reticulate itself, must flow back. And there must be channel where it can take the excess while the tidal lock stays. So for us in Ogun State, we are prepared and we are more than prepared. And the challenge will be coming around September ending to early month of October.
All right, so that was the Commissioner of Environment in Ogun State. That's a bit long, but there's another information I think I should share. We talked about how they've already received the approval to relocate Kara cattle market, not no Kara. They're coming into Lagos just before you get to Berger. There's this, those where they sell cows and stuff. Like the bridge, they go do. Apparently, they will be moving that market very soon. I think we should listen to that bit before we move on to one of the things you have in the in the Times, which is the Hijab issue. So let's take a listen to this information about Take a listen, please.
Ibadan Expressway. I'm not sure how proud you are and how proud your governor is about the state of that infrastructure. It's a mess, Mr. Resoya. A big mess. Question 2.
Yeah.
The relocation of the cattle market. What's delaying that relocation? Because the Salah that just concluded again, our Salah market, and it's another mess, Mr. Resoya. That's where it's one of the biggest cattle markets in West Africa. But we see these things in this part of the world. I mean, people have cattle in other parts of the world, but it's not as messy as what we have here at the car market. So what's causing that delay? Because I also know that the Ogun State government collects a lot of heavy taxes from that market.
Let me start by telling you that now the state government, I don't know, maybe the local government, I don't know, maybe from those who slaughter the ram, but I can assure you that we already have approval to relocate that market, to move that market. We're moving that market to Ogere. We have the new location. Well, the delay was to look at get the right investor, agree with the investor to make sure that what we have at Kara is not repeated at Ogere. We don't want to move problem from one location and transfer it to another location. No, that's not the idea. The idea is to solve it once and for all. It's on paper. We already agreed that that place must move. It's a mismatch, no doubt about it. And associated sanitation or public hygiene, the decay, is because of that market. So that market must move. If I had my way, I would have moved the market like yesterday. But then you have to look at social angle. It is not just a one ministry responsibility. It's an interministerial responsibility. We have a Ministry of Physical Planning, Ministry of Housing, several ministries are involved in that relocation. So I want to just play with you that people should just give us time and that market will move. Okay, moving human being is not as easy as you say. And looking at even the legal angle of this issue. All right, that market there, nobody gave them approval, but they were there on challenge for more than 15 going to 20 years now.
That's a lot of work. Maybe just very quickly, in 20 seconds or less, the media on the Lagos about the expressway.
Well, it's a problem that will address on daily basis, but it's really, really tough. If you don't take the source of the problem away, you'll just be running a circle. Telling people to clean up the place regularly, but before you say Jack, you have other human beings that import and they mess the place up. But we're not relenting. We're not proud of it the way it is. I need to let you know that. All right. But just go look at. All right.
Someone says, why is this interviewer seeking to embarrass the commission? I don't know if he was seeking to embarrass them. I just think that a lot of the interviewers these days, I think that they've taken on this persona of, should I say, aggressor, like an accuser, like the way they ask questions as though they have issues. I don't think he's trying to, Someone says he didn't need to be so aggressive. Yeah. I think it's a new fad amongst interviewers these days. Someone says authoritarian. Well, I think it's because it's allowing you to ask me like that. I don't want to answer you. Can everybody be all right? Anyway, thank you very much for listening to that. Let's now get into the topic on the screen. We're listening to we talked about Peter Obi stuff earlier. That one doesn't really mean anything much. And so I want us to get into the court hijab thing. I want to do that. Let me see. Let's do that now. Appeal Court reinstates ban on hijab at UI International School. And this came out July 3rd, so that was on Friday, and it has generated a lot of reactions. Social media, traditional media, everybody's sharing their opinion on this matter. Appeal Court reinstates ban on hijab at UI International School. The Court of Appeal in Ibadan has ruled that students of the International School, University of Ibadan ISI, cannot wear hijab as part of the school uniform, overturning an earlier High Court judgment that had favored Muslim students, challenging the policy. In a divided decision delivered on Friday, the appellate court held that legal protections allowing the use of hijab in schools, as recognized by the Supreme Court, are applicable to public educational institutions and not private schools such as ISI. The ruling effectively reverses the 2022 judgment of the Lagos State High Court, which found that the school's restriction on hijab infringed on the constitutional rights of Muslim students, including freedom of religion and protection from discrimination. A three-member panel heard the appeal, with two justices supporting the decision to overturn the lower court judgment, while one justice dissented. Justice Yoruba, I don't know if it's Yoruba, if it's Yoruba, but I don't know if it's Yoruba. So I think it's Yoruba or whatever. I apologize because I don't know what language it is. But Justice George Will, who delivered the lead judgment, said the international school operates as a private institution and therefore differs legally from public schools covered by previous Supreme Court pronouncements on the issue. According to him, students and parents voluntarily agreed to abide by the school's regulations when seeking admission, including rules governing appearance and dress. He says, I quote, "The right to practice one's religion remains protected, but individuals can choose to accept certain conditions when they voluntarily enroll in a private institution." The court further noted that while the Supreme Court had affirmed the right of Muslim students to wear hijab in public schools, no similar binding decision currently exists regarding private educational establishments. As it stands, the legal position concerning private schools is different. Existing Supreme Court decisions on hijab relate to public schools and cannot automatically be extended to private institutions, the judgment explained. However, the decision was not unanimous. Justice Fadawu Umar disagreed with the majority view and maintained that the appeal lacked sufficient grounds. He argued that the earlier judgment should have remained in force. The legal battle dates back to 2018 when a group of Muslim students challenged international school's uniform policy, which is absolute rubbish, by the way. I will tell you how I feel, have you? So, I know most of you that did this and you're right, well, that is rubbish. It makes no sense. I will explain. The legal battle dates back to 2018. I have my opinion. Let me just make that very clear. I'm not clinical objective. It is rubbish. Let's finish. The legal battle dates back to 2018 when a group of Muslim students, and I know it's not the students, we'll get there. When a group of Muslim students challenged the international school's uniform policy after being prevented from wearing hijab alongside the approved school attire. The case was filed by 11 students with support from the Muslim rights concern. What do they call them? Murik, an advocacy group that has consistently campaigned for the protection of religious rights in educational institutions. 4 years later, the United States High Court ruled in favor of the students, declaring that the school's ban violated constitutional guarantees of religious freedom. Unhappy with that outcome, the school management approached the Court of Appeal, setting the stage for the latest judgment that has now restored the school's authority to enforce its existing dress code. The ruling is expected to reignite discussions about the balance between religious rights and institutional regulations in the adult education sector, particularly in privately owned schools. I will tell you something. But before I do, this was on Monday. Ìjàngbọ̀n làwọn kan wá kiri. Tí wọ́n bá ti yóò tán tó wọ́n bẹ́kùnbẹ́kùn kiri, ìranù gbogbo ilé ìranù. Ẹ kàn bára wa sòótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀. Why do I say it's ìranù? Because this was Friday. The judgment was on Friday. Would you believe that this morning, today's Monday, right? This morning, that same school, international school, University of Ibadan, Muslim kids still went to school with hijab. This is not about religion. This is about disorderliness. I'll play that clip and I'll tell you exactly how I feel about this. This is absolute rubbish, by the way. Particularly, all the people are saying if you look on religious, we have rights, is absolute nonsense. You cannot go to a school and tell them how they're going to run their school. There are Muslim schools everywhere. There are places where they wear hijab, and there are public schools where you can wear hijab according to the Supreme Court judgment. Why do people go to private institutions and then go there to tell them how they should behave in the school that you were not there when they were creating? I'll play you a video from UI. Take a listen. So this video shows the children.
They are not supposed to.
You hear someone say they're not supposed to. A lot of them are there. Going with hijab. This is not religion. This is not religion. This is chaos. There's nothing godly about this. I don't care if you say I hate Muslims, that's your business. There's nothing godly about this. Security man did not want them to go in. Their parents were there, essentially daring the institution, and eventually the kids now were allowed to go in. Imagine a Christian decides to wear cassock, or a traditional worshipper decides to carry a coup, because we have religious freedom in Nigeria. This is not religious freedom.
Sir, you were held on Friday. Alright, sir, when you won earlier, we allowed you. Sir, you were held on Friday.
Guys, are you aware there's a case bill? There is a letter served to the president this morning.
Exactly, they didn't tell us that.
Okay, maybe you wait for the instruction. Wait.
You know, the saddest part of all of this is how adults, for whatever religious reasons, are using children as pawns. It's like when you hear, I mean, this is not like these children essentially want to wear hijab. Maybe some of them did, but for the most part, it's some adults just feel like, what's the next thing we can do to just cause chaos? Because why on earth would you have to go to the thing? The public school, it's not a place school, you didn't have to go to that school. I mean, most schools, as a matter of fact, why don't these people take their children to those schools? Why do you leave Muslim schools and then go to private schools or Christian schools and then go there to determine to prescribe to working on the matter? It makes sense for anybody to wear whatever you want to wear. I mean, it's a public school. But when I create something, and it's that I am the one who is running, and you say to come to the school, and you sign that you're going to abide by my rules and regulations. Now, after you have been admitted, you then say, okay, I want to change my uniform. Who are you? Why not take these children to another school where you can have all the rights you want? This is not religion. And people that are doing this, a lot of what this Mori thing they are doing is not. This is not how you don't find peace like this. You are raising children with ridiculous understanding of what religious rights mean. You go to a particular place, there's order, there's structure. So a person creates something, you will not create it though. You now enter the place and tell the person to change something to accommodate your belief. Who are you? It's like me now. Imagine I send my child to, which will not happen for obvious reasons. If I send my child to a lake mass on Friday, I will not have issues with it. Was I blind when I was sending him to a Muslim university? It's a Muslim university. It's owned by Muslims. If you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian and you went there, most likely you're going to have to abide by the. I cannot go there and demand that there should be church inside the campus. I can't. And I think many of these schools and institutions across that are just pandering and say, we want to fight. Pata, you lose that customer. So what? Pata, they say, oh, you hate Muslims. Muslims that understand basic orderliness and order and structure will know that you are the place to take your school is the place to take their children. The ones who just want chaos will take their children somewhere else. This does not help the children. It doesn't help religious. It doesn't help harmony in society. It's just like you're looking for wahala. You just want to start wahala. What's this thing where you have a public school, you didn't send your child to there. You have Muslim schools, you didn't send your child there. You now went to look for the one that is a good school but it's private. You put your children there. Then you now go there and say, I want you to change uniform to what's that nonsense they always say? To form some form of inclusion so that it can also make me feel welcome. Nobody invited you into those schools. And if a Christian says the same thing, I will say the same thing. We have to be telling ourselves the truth. And this is that Murik is always doing. What are they trying to gain from this nonsense? It is nonsense. Where any small thing, wherever there is peace, you just go and introduce. Okay, so if you just are wearing hijab now, how does that help there on the side of mathematics, physics, chemistry? How does that help? Oh, it's going to help the religious skinny. Then take them to the school where they're going to give them that religious right. Period. Must you stay here? Imagine, this is why a lot of people just create Christian schools. That's what people are doing what they're doing right now. That's what people are doing Christian schools. Because it's something private now, they'll come and be speaking rubbish to you, saying that, do you not have rights? What kind of rights do you have? Can you not just go and create your own? Imagine these Mori people create a school now, and a Christian goes there and says that he wants to be having fellowship on Fridays. Do you think they're going to allow that child or the group of children to be having fellowship on Friday in their school? And do I think that Christian children should be going to a Muslim school or a private school for that matter? That is, whether it doesn't have the rule. Let me give an example. So it doesn't look like Christian versus Muslim. Mayflower. Tasholari in the Kenya. The man was, I don't know if we call him an atheist or an agnostic. I think he was even an atheist. You can't go to that kind of place and say, what we are having assembly, we want to sing praise and worship. You know, most of our schools these days, by the way, let me yabara. Many of our schools these days, you see them, they will do assembly, they'll spend like 30 minutes just praising God. I'm like, church in the school. That's another thing. But you know what? Parents also know what they're sending their children to do. It's a Christian school, apparently. Maybe a private school, but the owners are Christians, and that's what they want to run their school. If that's what they want, it's frequent those schools. If you go to Mayflower in Kenya, you cannot tell them in Kenya that you must have assembly and you must be singing praise and worship. I'm a Christian. You will be stupid to do that. But I'm a Christian. But I'll tell Christians that you are stupid to do that, because that school, they have their own laws, they have their own regulations. They did not ask you to come by force. You don't have to go there. Someone says, Murika fundamentalists in Yoruba. I don't know what they are gaining from this nonsense. I know, you know the saddest part. It's not even the religion. It's the children. Young people should grow up understanding that, okay, there's religious, I don't even like religious tolerance. I like religious mutual respect. I'm a Christian, I respect you. You're Muslim, you respect me. In this place, so this is what we do. It's the same thing that will now happen now. Imagine you now have a business. I create a company to sell whatever. Then you come after a few weeks, you're now demanding that I must create a prayer space for you in my company because you are who? This is how it starts now. So every company must create a place where people can pray. Why? Did I create chapel? Even if I create chapel, that's my choice. I don't have to do all this thing of if you do for this, you have to do for this. It's nonsense. So we have to be telling ourselves the truth. If you do for A, and does this mean that I hate the idea of Muslims having their spaces? Absolutely not. But I hate the idea of you going to other people's spaces to determine how they run this. It's the same thing that the Igbos are doing in Lagos, is it not? It's the same thing. So Christians also begin to wear. It happened in Kwara State the other day. What are we teaching the children, really? Is this really about religion or just about your ego? You're just on an ego trip. And to make matters worse, what you're even telling them to wear is not even a religious cloth. It's something that belongs to a particular culture. It's a cultural thing. Hijab is not Islamic. Truth be told, it's so if me now, I want to show that I'm true Yoruba and forget Christianity. When my child is going to school, all of us have rights. Just be making up. We're just looking for. There's no reason for fight. You just look for some. Where else can I create chaos? So let me go and look for right. Which right are you looking for? And if this is so important to you, and I think it should be important, there's nothing wrong with people want to wear hijab. I said what I said about the fact that it is a cultural wear, it's a cultural outfit. That is a fact. Let me say this. Listen, a lot of the things that we imbibe, right? You know, you can imbibe Christianity, so you can imbibe European culture in the name of Christianity. And you want to die on the hill of your faith. Meanwhile, what you're actually espousing is a foreign culture. When people have conversations about so-called church wedding, there's nothing like church wedding in the Bible. There's no church wedding. There's no Christian wedding. There's no white wedding. What you are doing is European wedding, wearing white gown. There's nothing like that in the Bible. Nobody wore white gown to church in the Bible. If you want to do it, that's good. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's not a yardstick for anything. It's not the basis for a working marriage that is going to be done. It's your choice. There's nothing religious about it. But we are going to have church wedding. There's nothing like church wedding. If you like, you can go and have your wedding by the beach. If you like, you can go and do it in the forest, anywhere you go. What is important about weddings? The two people that are getting married, the couple, maybe a minister, someone to officiate the wedding, and a witness. Just as since we are Yoruba people, we'll bring plenty people, so we can witness. If you have that wedding in your sitting room, you are married. If you like, wear gele. If you like, wear t-shirt. You are married. The gown has nothing to do with your status as a married man or woman. It has nothing. It is the culture of a people. And Nigeria is the place where we have 3 ceremonies of one event, or 3 ceremonies of one wedding. I mean, 3 events of one ceremony. You get the point. 3 events for one ceremony. That's what I was looking for. You first go to court because you must do law, legal kini. Then you now go to church. You go and wear gown. Meanwhile, what you are doing is really colonial. There's nothing wrong with it. So let me just make it clear. I'm not saying it is wrong. I'm just saying that it's not religious. You now wear the suit. Then, okay, no, before we do the suit, to be fair, we'll have a traditional wedding. So we'll go to court, we'll do traditional wedding, then go to church. Interestingly, if you go to court, you have to go to church because the same document they give you there. As a matter of fact, if you do traditional wedding, which we call engagement, it's enough to cover everything. You can still collect your certificate in local government registry or something. You will still get your certificate. That customary wedding is as binding as the one you do in church. Am I saying you should not do it? If you like, can do 10. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong if now you get money you won't spend. It's okay. The point is just that imagine you're arguing for your right to white wedding because you're a Christian. That's the point I'm trying to make. See, I'm a Christian. I must have a white wedding because Jesus said, where did Jesus say it? The bride shall be, did they say you are going to wear white? So a lot of times, what we're actually doing is using European culture or Arab culture, and we're shouting, it's Christianity, it's Islam. It's neither of those things. Our mothers knew modesty before they had hijab. They knew modesty. One way gele, one ni bono, one wabuba, obaya one robo. In back on I have no more room. Mboya, one romodi. How more modest do you want to get in your life? Now, if you say that, okay, you want to cover your neck and you have the right to do so, do it. But do it on your own terms, not forcing institutions to bend to your will. Who do you think you are? And if you're a Christian, I'll say the same thing. This thing is nonsense. And it's not so much the faith. I think it's fanaticism. It's people just wanting to go do extra. And the only good thing about this is that they went to court. That's the only good thing I can say that I see, that they are going to court. But the question is, to what end? What's the purpose? So the children will now wear hijab. If hijab means so much to you, why not go to schools where they wear hijab? To make matters worse, after the announcement, the judgment on Friday, the parents then took their children to that same school on Monday morning. Today, wearing the same hijab. Why? Do you not have any laws or any doctrine that teaches you about respecting order? So, what are you telling the children? And please, in the name of God, don't tell me that it is God law is above everybody, because nobody cares about the God law that affects the structure of society. This is not good. If you want to do it in a public institution, that's okay. After all, you have the right to do so. Right, left. And the funny thing is, you won't have conversation about development, how to make things better. Or Resignation. Oh, what can we do to make something? Who cares? You must express religious freedom. And this goes to all of us, by the way. It's not just one thing. It goes to all of us. Someone says, that prayer in the background? Yes. No. I mean, that one is, I'm Yoruba, so I'm used to it. I mean, the most, I can even tell you, the Caliph Momoti Bagbe, but I still remember Fatia. It's another I mean, I had no problem. I grew up listening. So, yeah, they're praying in the background, but it's actually something that the Nigerian government needs to work on, particularly state government. Noise pollution is a no-no. Churches and mosques. There's no reason why I should be hearing the prayer. But because I'm Yoruba, I'm already, it doesn't do anything to me, so I don't mind, to be honest. Although I mind sometimes because it can get very loud. But there should be, I mean, this is 21st century. Why should you put speakers out there? Why? People don't have watches to tell them that as well as going to the too. I'll go one and sing when that man. And people also don't understand, excuse me. Sometimes we also need to ask questions. Why do we do what we do? The call to prayer that you're talking about, the call to prayer is important because, I mean, at the time, people didn't have watches, they didn't have clocks. So you have to be able to alert people all over the place so they know that, okay, time to do, everybody go and pray, which makes sense. But today you have phones, you have watches. Why do we need speakers outside? The same thing for churches. You want to do, harrowing, about worship. Anyway, I don't mind the call to prayer. It's it gets a particular point, I can't even join them. They'll be saying, Bismillah. Let me not start what I can't finish. But here, let's get to ISI. Some people have been arguing that ISI is a public institution, and they say that because apparently the school is located within the campus of the University of Ibadan. But let me start by saying, before I even read this, there's a school, there are two secondary schools in the University of Ibadan. In fact, I think there are even three now. But when we were younger, there were two secondary schools in the University of Ibadan. There was International School in Ibadan, and there was Abadina College, University of Ibadan. Both of them were and still are on campus, University of Ibadan. Here's the thing. Abadina College is not owned by the University of Ibadan. It's owned by Oyo State government. It is owned by Oyo State government, but it's domiciled in the University of Ibadan. Just because something is inside UI does not mean that UI owns it. There are many businesses that run in the university. Just because they are there, some of them are paying rent, doesn't mean that they own it. As a matter of fact, the land that ISI actually occupies was not given to them by University of Ibadan. It was given to them by Western Region government. But no, let me read some of the things to you here. So, there's a man called Kurt Han, right? He was British. He influenced the educational model, right, that is used or was used to establish University of Ibadan. However, the person who actually proposed and mooted the idea of establishing ISI was Professor Andy Taylor, who, interestingly, was the third director of the Institute of Education at the University of Ibadan. And they established that school as a laboratory for teaching practice and things like that. Okay. However, UI did not put money down to start that school. Guess who put money down? By the way, all these people are always saying dead to America. Then you go to school that America funded. It is very hypocrite. So, because it was USAID and Ford Foundation that actually put out the initial seed money for the establishment of that school. Okay. Because I see some of these people that are always shouting must wear hijab. They're also the one, not all of them, of course. Well, the money when they take start that school, now USAID and Ford Foundation put the money down. And the school took off in October 1963. 3 groups put down the money: United States Agency for International Development, USAID, the Ford Foundation, and the Rockefeller Foundation. All right. The old Western regional government donated the land and resources, right? And the grant was given to the University of Ibadan for the school project. So the money came from outside, the land, money came from US, USAID, Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, the land came from West Side Jungle. Now, how did they run the school? Now, somebody said, but there is a DVC on the board of University of Ibadan. That's true. Because of what is affiliated in because right now, that is what I was is in the university community. Okay? Should I say, law was made by men and for men. And the one we made, we don't want to have religious we don't want akatakiti lessons come and remake our law. The one we want is a place where people can respect order. Not to be telling me that law was made by man. The one that law, there's another place where there's law made for man. It's only school that's coming to my head right now, but there are many other good schools. There are many other good Muslim. Interesting, they're actually good Muslim schools. Not Islamic schools, though. No, there's Islamic schools where they teach Islamic things and Arabic and so on and so forth. There's Muslim school. Those ones do everything you do in secondary school, private university. They do everything, right? Not English, but they have an Islamic perspective or approach to the teaching of these things, and they're good ones. I don't know why people can just take their children to those schools. They are good ones. I know because I know at least 2. Because some things happen that made me know. Because some of them are also like really good. I mean, there is Mama Kaula, for instance. That school, for instance, they do all kinds of things there, and she's very, she's very passionate about religion and very passionate about education. So she has schools like that where people can go and you can raise your children in such schools, and you don't have to take anybody to court. Anyway. The school itself is independent. It self-finances itself. So it's a self-funding private school. In other words, they don't collect any money from UI. UI is a public organization, public institution, yes. But ISI does not collect money from the public to run that school. Therefore, it's not a public institution. And you're saying things like, you can just do anything. Like, guess what's going to happen? People start creating stuff using faith as the base of what they're doing. So you're going to have Ifa. The person is selling this, but it's Ifa this restaurant, because you will not come down and ask the person that you want to go to Akimo. They tell you that Ifa which would not be which shouldn't be necessary. I don't understand what boundaries actually meant. We'll wait for the Supreme Court case because they are going to the Supreme Court, by the way. I'll read that report to you later. Anyway, still on ISI, the self-funded allocations through UI's federal budget. Instead, it is funded entirely through tuition and fees collected from parents. The Deputy Vice Chancellor of UI traditionally serves as the chairman of the school's Court of Governors. I mentioned also that UI has that there is Abadina College, right, which is owned by the Oyo State government. Interestingly, there's also staff school. Okay, if you want to school in UI, you probably know these places. There's staff school and second gate. Staff school is owned by the university, but it's only nursery and primary school. Okay, ISI is not owned by the university. Okay, so private creators, entrepreneurs, people who are giving stuff should be protected from religious fanatics. That's like me. Anyway, they put out some statements. I'm just going to quickly read that before we move on. By the way, I like the fact that they're going to court. It's a lot better than, you just going all over the place. The one that happened the other day, China just went there. And when they told them they shouldn't do it, they did it again. Guess what happened? It was in Kwara State. We just saw, there was one day that the kid just came to school wearing all kinds of things, right? It's my workers up, into my work, Muslims, Christians, traditional worshippers, they also wanted to express themselves. At some point, we have to ask the question, what is the purpose of uniform? What is the purpose of uniforms? Once you begin to add the Hijab and stuff, I think it's already defeated, in my opinion. Okay? Anyway, going to you, I want to read something from the League of Imams. Essentially put out a statement saying that they are going to higher court, which in this case will be the Supreme Court, in order to seek justice. That's the name. Some of them they're going to the Supreme Court, and I wish them all the best. But I hope that the Supreme Court actually, protects creators. I can't play something for you to come and tell me how to run it. That's a fact. All right. Having said that, I'm going to bring up. There's another thing I want to talk about. Let's just bring some people up. If we have time, we'll probably just talk about. Excuse me, let me just see the title for it quickly. Mandilas Market. South African flight. I see a lot of people tell this call. Let me just read it and then I'll bring you up. I'll do it very quickly. Mandilas. Okay, let me just tell you what's happening in South Africa. Mandilas might require some time. I'll just read to you. So in South Africa, there's an evacuation, right? Just read that and I'll bring people off. We'll talk about Mandilas tomorrow. Let me something from Punch newspaper. Federal government urges Nigerians to leave South Africa as xenophobic attacks persist. The federal government has urged Nigerians in South Africa who fear for their safety to take advantage of its final evacuation flights, warning that there are no signs that the situation is improving amid ongoing xenophobic attacks that have claimed the lives of 2 Nigerians. In a statement released on Monday, Minister of Foreign Affairs Bianca Odumegojukwu said Nigeria remains deeply concerned about the safety of its citizens following the ongoing xenophobic protests and attacks of migrants. She said, and I quote, Nigeria remains concerned about the safety of its citizens in South Africa as a result of the ongoing xenophobic protests and attacks of migrants, and even more so following the death of 2 Nigerians, Musa Yunana Joe and Charles Urugu, during these unfortunate events. The minister said Nigeria has demanded action from South African authorities. She says, we demand that South African authorities urgently investigate the incidents and bring those responsible to justice, and are urging our citizens who consider their lives at risk to take advantage of the FG-sponsored evacuation flights to be transported home. She disclosed that President Bola Tinubu had extended the evacuation program beyond its initial June 30 deadline, with a 4th evacuation flight arriving in Nigeria on July 3. He says another evacuation flight will leave for Johannesburg tomorrow, Tuesday, 7th July, to bring home our citizens. And then she added the last evacuation flight is expected to arrive to Africa on 10th July. She urged Nigerians who are yet to decide whether to leave to carefully assess the risks. Our nationals are again advised to weigh the risks regarding whether to remain or return. The news is still plenty. All right, but there is a video I would love to play for you. While Nigeria is trying to, let me just finish this part. It's important to tell you what has happened so far. Addressing those reluctant to leave, the minister said, for many still sitting on the fence, they should do well to know that properties, they should do well to know that properties and investments lost can be replaced, but not lives lost. She reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to protecting Nigerians abroad, saying the federal government of Nigeria remains committed to the safety and welfare of its citizens abroad and will put all necessary measures in place to protect it. Earlier, the FG said it had concluded arrangements to evacuate 270 Nigerians from South Africa as part of its ongoing repatriation exercise for citizens willing to return home. Well, while the government is doing this, let me play you what. I don't say the person that listens to. Just listen to what one person with the one go evacuate, quoting the person they talk. Take a listen.
I've said it before. They thought maybe I'm joking. I've said it on my live. I'm saying it again here. I've said it before in my videos and I posted it. If you go to my page, you will see it. I said, no Nigerian that I know who stays in South Africa will leave South Africa because hunters who dress half naked are protesting on the street. It's not going to happen. Not in our lifetime. And secondly, let me repeat it again. Before from now till 29th of May 2027, Nigerians in South Africa will have their community more like Orania, where you as a black South African, before you come into this particular Nigerian community, you have to identify yourself. You drop your identity card, you tell us what you're coming to do. You identify yourself for us to know that you're not coming for violence or crime. You understand? Besides, you will not have opportunity for any violence at all. This community is going to be like Orania. We're going to operate it like Orania. We'll be respecting the constitution and the rule of law of South Africa, but we'll have our own rule in South Africa, like is our community going to be like function like the way Orania function. The way you black South Africans are not able to enter Orania, that's the same way you will not be able to enter this Nigerian community. You understand? We have our tools, we have our schools and all of that. You understand? We will definitely you identify your work, you go home. If you're done teaching, you go home. If you're done working in the hospital, you go home. If you're done being a sales girl or a sales boy in the shopping mall, you go home. You're not going to spend more than 24 hours in our Nigerian community in South Africa very soon. From now to 29th of May 2027, it will happen. Mark my word. Peace. I've said it before.
How are you going to have peace after this kind of statement? It's not a Nigerian community, it's an Igbo community. Let's be at this point, I love everybody, but we have to name each other, we have to name each person and each group so that when you down, they will not say Nigeria, because they say Nigeria, but thankfully they are beginning to discover that it's actually Igbo. What guts does a person have to say this kind of thing in another person's land? You want to create an Orania? I mean, it's bad enough that there's an Orania in South Africa, but to even say that, to even use that as an example, and here's the crazy part: at least the people who created the Orania, they had the capacity to have apartheid and have that kind of course, it's a terrible system, but they were able to actually institute and have it. You cannot colonize yourself, let alone colonize other people. You will now travel from some interesting places. I don't want to say anything evil. You travel to another person's land. See, that's what I said to you guys. This thing is a cultural thing. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to repeat it as many times as possible. I was talking to someone today, and the person said they are good Igbos. I said I'll be the first to tell you there are many, many good Igbo people. Many. And I've met many. But see, it's not about the individual, it's about the culture. And he said, oh, those people do not believe in what these people are saying. I said, how many of them do you see speak against it? You already see them. I mean, you see few of them, but you can't mention 20. You can't mention 10. For the vast majority, they will be quiet because if it pans out, if it works out, at least we didn't go against you. If it doesn't work out, At least we didn't say anything. Those people, at that time, we're just looking at them. They want plausible deniability. That's what they're about. The idea of taking other people's land, expansionism, it's not new. I've read a report here before. 1955 was in Chatham House, London. Sir John Macpherson. One of the major things that he said, he talked about the three major ethnic groups in Nigeria, and talked about what each person was dealing with. And I just mentioned before I tell you what he said about, this expansionist nonsense. He said the outside people, the issue was the fact that black education, they were ignorant, right? And they have this feudal system that's not going to allow anybody to make progress the way they should. That's what I said about the North. I'm not going to stay on it for too long about the Hausa. For Yoruba people, they said that the people were in a form of like lethargy, but they've had a group of intellectuals who are about to steer them out of that lethargy. We said the Yoruba land was wealthy and it was the wealthiest, but the people were just enjoying, essentially having complacency. And so you had to have an intellectual group who, thankfully, were able to rouse them out of that lethargy. Except for the Igbo, their own issue is Lebensraum. They want living spaces because their own ancestral land is very small. Every time they speak about how to take over another person's land. This was in 1955. You read Majiparam's account in the Listener of October 20, 1960, and she said the same thing. They said that, the Igbo should be a force for unity in Nigeria. They need unity. Having poured out of the overcrowded forest in search of opportunities in other parts of Nigeria. I'll take this slowly. I'm trying to recall what she said. She says the Igbo should be a force for unity in Nigeria. They need unity. All this want unity is a lie. They need it. Without unity, there's no survival. They need unity now to get into places. And she said they have had to, having no, I'll read it to you. Now I've forgotten because I stopped myself. They need unity. They have had to pour out of the overcrowded forest in search for opportunities in other parts of Nigeria. Someone said the audio is muffled again. This is
on TikTok today. She said they need unity, that they've had to pour out of the overcrowded forest in search of opportunities in other parts of Nigeria. Is the whole idea of trying to get into other people's spaces, right? It's what the whole conversation has been about. Excuse me. It's what it's always been about. So when you heard the young man who was essentially a clown, who was talking about, they're going to become the strongest species and it's natural selection in Lagos. Igbo people will take over the place because after a few years, your father too was an immigrant who will get you out. What he's talking about is he's talking from a place of lack. He's talking from a place of scarcity. All the 5 states combined, South is the size of your state. So naturally, you want something, but you don't understand. You don't have enough sense to know that if you cannot build wide, you can build up. They can create something out of whatever God has given you. And if you go to other people's land, especially when they welcome you, you move with wisdom. Just like that one was talking in Lagos, this one is saying his own in South Africa. The other one said it in Ghana. The nonsense is just everywhere. It's cultural. It's a mindset of scarcity, and the scarcity is now what you had superior complex. Because it was what in Germany they call Aryan folk. You are better than everybody. You're going to create Orania in South Africa. If they now catch you and beat you for this, they'll now say that those people are xenophobic. Should they beat him? I don't think they should beat him because Ojilo Roju Shanu. But why would you speak like this in other people's spaces?
So people talk anyhow, and then say you have a right in another man's land. May God give all of us wisdom. Tomorrow we're going to visit that Mandilas thing. And someone says they started the wala in South Africa, Igbo king. Not that you mentioned it now. I was going to end it up, but you mentioned something. Umbo, I still have a few minutes before I bring it up. 1 second. It's a cultural thing. That was one of the so-called kings in Cape Town. You leave Nigeria, You now, let's say, traveled all the way to South Africa to go and establish king or call yourself king in Cape Town. He was calling for people in Lagos to fight and do things. On top of what? Anyway, let me bring people up. I'll find you the other video. I'll play it for you later. May God give all of us understanding at this point. You know, there's a video here where they are fighting again in India. 2 different evil groups. Why? Why? I'll play you a shorter version. I'll play the longer one much later. And then tomorrow we'll talk about this Mandilas issue, where the man has come out to accuse the state government, the Lagos state government. We'll talk about that one tomorrow. But please listen to this while I bring people up shortly. Take a listen. This was one so-called evil king in the same place where the clown wants to build Orania.
It's better you people rise, stop this here nonsense. That's blood. It's with the last blood. It's better you people rise, stop this here nonsense. Igbos who live in Lagos, open your eyes. Don't sleep with your 2 eyes. And when somebody push you, push back. You people should come together now. When they are shouting, Igbos must go. Plan how you defend yourself. Plan how you defend your property. Plan how you throw them inside lagoon. Just of us, when he started, go straight to Oba, throw him inside the lagoon. Burn down Lagos. If they want to, if they started this nonsense. What is wrong with you? See me see trouble. We came to Lagos to build Lagos. Lagos is full of water. Or the men Louis Ojukwu, Hebrew, all of them, they come to build Lagos. After all, Lagos belongs to the first power of Lagos is from Benin. Now you are coming to claim what you don't have. Why are you claiming what you don't have?
Let me just quickly address this. The first power of Lagos was from Benin. And he just quickly addressed that nonsense. This is insanity, by the way. But you know, fools grow old, apparently. The first of Ashipa was a Yoruba man. His son, so some people call Ashipa the first Oba. Some people call his son Ado the first king, the first king of Eko. Not Lagos State, by the way. By the way, I should also say that the Oba of Lagos is not the Oba of Lagos State. It's the Oba of Lagos Town or Lagos City. Okay? There's a Lagos City and there's Lagos State. Just like there's Oyo Town, there's Oyo City, there's Ondo Town, there's Ondo City. Alright? Sorry, there's Ondo Town, there's Ondo State. There's Oyo Town, there's Oyo State. There's Lagos Town or Lagos City, there's Lagos State. It's the Oba of that town, Lagos, Isaleko. Thank you. Okay? Some people will tell you that Ashipa was the first king, depending on how you count, where you want to begin. Okay? You can say Ashipa was the first, or you can say Ado was the first. Now, Ado cannot be a Benin man if his father was a Yoruba man, and his father was an Awori man. Ashipa was Awori. But Ado's mother was from Benin. Okay? So, all this nonsense about the father was a Benin man that was the first king of Lagos is nonsense. And the funny thing is that how can you come from a place where you did not build anything of consequence? You have no chief, no king, nothing grand. But you are the one that will tell us about the history of Lagos. Okay.
You are claiming what you don't have, and you can't give what you don't have. Who said Lagos belongs to you? Enough is enough. Stop waking the lion, sleeping lion. Stop calling our name. Dismantle all this nonsense he is sharing in social media and warn your people. I'm calling the elders. Elders, rise up. You can't be elders and this will be moving around. Who is Sanwo-Olu? Who is Sanwo-Olu? This is an imbecile. Call himself Sanwo-Olu. Very wicked human being. Whatever you will do against Igbos, it will come back to you, hurt you. If it didn't hurt you, it will hurt your children, your generation. He said.
They say, I mean, by the way, is that Louis Ojukwu beat Lagos? Before Louis' father was born, Lagos was Lagos. Lagos not become Lagos because of Nigeria. Lagos was Lagos before Nigeria. For centuries, even before the Portuguese arrived in the 16th century. Interestingly, the British did not get to our shores until the 19th century. The bombardment of Lagos happened in 1851. Right? A couple of centuries before then, in the 16th century, the Portuguese were already here. But before they got here, Lagos was already bubbling. It was booming with trade. Centuries before the Portuguese got here, before the British got here, before Nigeria became anything, before their fathers were born or anybody came from, say it was a slum. How come it didn't develop where you come from? There's a bunch of retards. And then you insult the soul, think of your own Lagos. Meanwhile, who were selling in Lagos State? Well, I think they're tired of the former because now Igbo people are sending fellow Igbo people back to Ebonyi State. Meanwhile, you go to other parts of Nigeria and telling them that you have rights. Take a listen to this one. Because this is how it is. When you do it, it doesn't matter.
Intelligent information. I got a chance to do that. Now, Hotel Nnewi, today being Monday, June 29th, if I'm not mistaken, combined team of Agane Chamber, Nnewi North and the Hotel Central, Makalandia from Ebonyi State. Now, the Pomo Onata, the Bayon Febana and Mefa, found what they may child level, or how much if Mandela Momaneku.
Things you can't take out home, don't give it to other people. Whether it's in Lagos or South Africa, because if they grab you, you are done for. I'll bring people up now. As soon as you get up, please mute and please keep it short. Keep your submission short. If you can talk about maybe one or two things, not talk about everything because of time. Okay, let's try and keep it short. So I'm going to bring up. Let's start with. All right, I've accepted everybody. So just come up, please, and yes, thank you very much. Thank you. So let us begin with Bumblebee.
Equator. Hello, Prof.
Please go on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sharon Cotton said that in South Africa, what's going on there? For some reason, I don't know, I have a gnarly, let me say a gnarly outlook to it, because I just have a feeling that what's going to pan out there, everybody should just stand aside and watch. I think the lesson we can't teach them in Nigeria, maybe we should just stand aside and watch and let those South Africans deal with them a little. Mouth diarrhea or knee. Because, to be honest, Nigeria has indulged them so much. Nigeria has not taught them anything about consequences for bad behavior. And that is why they go around perpetrating what they are doing. And when they carry on, okay, they can't blame the government of the day for not evacuating them, right? They can't blame the government of the day for not evacuating them. The government has done their best, and the Bafema law came up and all that. And since they want to stay there and continue to misbehave, and when you come and joke or call one to ṣẹlẹ̀, káwo drama tó máa ṣẹlẹ̀. I'll just leave it at that. Secondly, what's going on in Oyo State, the secondary school matter, the hijab matter. I also went to a private secondary school where we do Muslim prayers on Friday. I can still say the Muslim prayers now. And we do Christian prayers from Monday to Thursday. Fridays we do Muslim prayers. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allah, 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 and all that. I can still remember till tomorrow. So it's not that there's no tolerance in Yoruba land. I understand that there's tolerance in Yoruba land, and when you have an environment like that, where you make provision for people to have expressions of their religion and all that, it's fine. When people start pushing it to a point where they start demanding that people start changing the school uniform or the dress code of the school, it's that means the handshake is getting so we really need to be very, very, very careful, and we need to nip it in the bud. They can do all that up north. We can't afford to do that here down south, especially in the southwest. The kind of craziness that's going on in Nigeria, I would assume that a community where, the craziness is feathering up from the north down to our own southern part of the country, from the western part of the country, from the northwest down towards the southwest. I would assume they will be the one to moderation. All this nonsense, they haven't been in the board. Connect with Wonjoko. I want to community one, they should talk to the younger ones to behave themselves. We have tolerance already. Let's not push it. Thank you very much.
We won't be going in and out. Okay, so won't be you're going in and out. Maybe.
Can you hear me now, Prof? TikTok near.
Hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
I could hear him as well, but it was breaking.
Oh, okay.
I think it's better now. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that brilliant submission. All right. Okay, let's go back up. Let's have Jagun. So just take Jagun for each Remy guy. And
thank
please
you,
keep
man.
it short. Thank you. Welcome,
How
sir.
are you? Longest
I'm
time.
very well, thank you.
Yeah. I finally relocated from South Africa, so that's why it's been a while I joined the program. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And welcome back home.
Yeah. No, I'm not home. I'm in America now.
Oh, okay.
Amen. The issue of that South Africa, honestly, I don't blame them, my brother. I lived through that experience, and I won't lie to you. What happened in South Africa is still going to happen in Yoruba land, because I must tell you, and I must confess to you that what our brothers are doing in South Africa is terribly bad, as in very, very bad. In fact, they couldn't just endure it anymore because there was an Igbo king that helped the whole situation. I'm telling you, they could have done that long time ago. I have seen our Nigerian brothers, especially our brothers from the East, our Igbo people, giving young girls as small as 15, 16 years old drugs to get addicted and push them to the streets to do prostitute. I have seen it. I have seen them selling young girls, transacting young girls for another person to come and buy it, go and use it to do prostitute somewhere else. What in shaking yet tipẹ́, and I'll be like, ha. Kíni máa lẹ́yìn. Ó ló jẹ́ kí n tètè gbé gbogbo ẹrù mi, kí n tètè ká kúrò ńbẹ̀, because ó ń bọ̀, àwọn là á dẹ́ndé. All the signs has been there, and they do not care. That is my problem. They do not. I spent 15 years in that wonderful country. I did masters there for free. I did PhD there for free. I cannot stand anywhere and start insulting South African government or start swearing on them, because the things that they did for me, almighty God. When I was doing my PhD, they were giving me approximately 4.5 million naira every year. You know, South Africa, and they gave me that. I understand. It's just that we have some bad eggs among us that is just causing problem, and it is time that we all need to come out and start speaking the truth. I know they were surprised that they could get this pushback from the Yoruba over the internet. They were surprised. I know themselves they were surprised, and I'm very happy that Yoruba people are now being awakened gradually. The Yoruba conservative is now spreading gradually, and it will get there. And I am very happy with what happened in Mandilas. I know for a fact that the sale is fraudulent, because that building is a strategic building that so many people will be interested in it as an indigene, as Omo Yoruba. It's a strategic building. So politicians were interested. How did he get it? I know he bribed government officials to get that building. That I am very sure of. Because these types of auction happens everywhere all over the world, even in the United States of America. If there is a strategic position that they want to sell, these auctions comes with clause and laws. They don't just sell it anyhow. It is after those clauses were unable to be met, that is when they now open it to the public. And I know that is a strategic building. It's not just a building to call the market. The boss of Ibo he fraudulently acquired it, just like they did with that of the trade fair. Just like they did with that of the federal government secretariat that they are trying to acquire. You know, all these things, they've been doing it for a very long time. And I'm very happy that there is changes. The signs are there that the government are listening to us. The government not put them in check. We are going to have problem with our Yoruba people. Gradually, they are listening to us. And I'm very happy things are now changing, because that is a sign that in this place, you do not own it. We still run now. And I'm very happy, because apart from the fact that we lost the money that he used to acquire that place fraudulently, we also learned a lesson that they should learn how to do things the proper way. They must not try to be taking things that does not belong to them by fraudulent means. So those are the things Timo Kokofe. So then again, as Yoruba people, we need to be Yoruba conscious. Enough of this religion. Let us learn 30 seconds, please. Yes. Let us learn from what is going on in the north. We Yoruba, we are too intertwined. We cannot allow this religion to cause problem between us. Like me now, my wife is Muslim, my in-laws is Muslim, I'm Christian. I have people that are also doing initiation in my family. How are we going to go about it? We cannot allow this thing to be generated to cause problem between us. And it is very simple. We need to learn our boundary for us to solve these kind of issues. It doesn't make sense what happened in ISI. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There is a list of schools that I found online just now for those who would like a school that allows them to dress the way they want. Like we said, International School Ibadan is not a government school, it's a private school, and it was established with funds from organizations that many of these people also curse out, you know, USAID, Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, and the land, of course, was given by Western Region government, but the place is a private school, okay? But there are other schools that are very good, by the way. I saw this list, it's in Ibadan. Mufulion High School, Muslim Ifelodun. There's Kibla Schools in Aleshiloy, there's Umul Kura, there's Marini Schools, IQ Academy, Medina International College, Al Kalam, So Academy, Ikra International School, the International Muslim School, Okeado, Al Amin Islamic College, Ansarudin Society High Schools, Nawaruddin Qualifications Colleges, Criterion Model Schools, and so on and so forth. There are many schools. Thank you for the gift and for the heart, Daniel. Good to see you. There are many good schools that Muslims can take their children to, right? And nobody will question their right to use hijab. nobody will question their rights to use hijab. But when you move into other people's spaces, you can't go there and be telling them that you have some rights to change whatever order they are working within the organization. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next speaker. That will be Mr. Fola. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. Can you hear me, sir? Okay. Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you for the platform. I want to thank you for the news you brought to us. I just want to make a mention of a few things. And the first is about the South African issue. Before you start to judge them. And I understand how our brothers are because of their myopic way or the way they try to project on other people. They don't actually do enough research to understand where these people have come from. Majority of the South Africans had a Bantu education system all through the 70s, which made sure that many of them could not be professionals. So even when apartheid went away in the 1990s, other Africans came. Now, we did not just come and take somewhat what should be theirs. We took advantage of the situation. However, when criminality came into it, as the previous speaker said, we started selling drugs to them. Let me tell you something. At least for about 4 years, I lived in Eastern Nigeria. There are two sets of people. They themselves will tell you. If you have somebody in Brazil, you have somebody in South Africa, they will tell you they are into drugs. It is not, if you just say, this person is in Brazil, and me, I know of a roommate of mine, his brother, in Loe, Loniko Mata drug, in Brazil. Also, yes. Oko Egboin, after 2 days, tó ti fi wà in Brazil, ló gbé drug lé lọ́wọ́. Ó ní tó bá di next week, á gbé bọn lé lọ́wọ́, pé kó wọnú street, you be man, I be man. You understand? And that one came to Brazil. I don't know why you leave Nigeria to Brazil for a football career. How good can you be? So that being said, that being said, Tabawasi or school, yeah. Okay, I want to give a personal example. So, I like to leave my hair. I have a punk on my head. And when my boys were younger, they used to have a punk till their school changed its policy. And he said they had to be on low cut. Now, going to their school later, I saw other children having punk. You understand? But I didn't go to complain because I later discovered that some other parents went to complain to the schools that their children had to have this hairstyle. I didn't complain to the school because I thought punk was wrong, but I was passing a message to my children that there are places you have to follow the rules. You cannot be right all the time, and I will not be always there to speak up for you. You see, this message these parents are driving is far beyond religion. It is training children to be disciplined. Ìtorí ẹ̀ ní nísìn ẹ máa rọ́mọ Gen Z tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ last week. A ní òun ò bí òun wà productive síbi iṣẹ́ yìí. Ó ṣe dé last week ni. We are not training them for real life. These children, also for me, most of them, is cultural. Sir, let me tell you something. In the north, it's cultural. Fortunately, where's the better word to put this? Olótùú ṣe mọ nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ OS. Torí mi ìfẹ́ pé lórúkọ tó ń jẹ́. Ó wọnú yàrá mi ó dẹ̀ wọ jab. Èmi ò tiẹ̀ mọ̀. Mo rò pé ó fẹ́ wá àwọn tó ń wáṣẹ́ ni ní pé bóyá ó fẹ́ fọṣọ because it was in a hotel and she was like, I am here. I said, for what? You understand? Ó wọ hijab. So to them, it was a cultural thing. Even in the north, in parts of northern Nigeria, if you go to brothels, you see them dressed that way. So this kind of shove our personal principle on people because we are now this organization. It is very, very terrible that you are saying, oh, I want my children, the school I take my children to, Keto Bere School, contract. On the contract, it is written, this is a Christian school. Because we discover and pay in the primary school, some parents were like, oh, she just CRS, it's a Christian school for crying out loud. It is written in the contract you signed. Though I don't know man overboard, it's a lawful PTA meeting. What if we cock off 30 minutes, corporate and worship? Mode meeting ba on jargon. Wa ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wá pé ìyá kan ẹ máa wọn ìyá tí wọ́n máa wé gèlè mọ́ yẹrí yẹn. Méjì wá sọ fún yín bó ṣe máa tọ́mọ yín. In the 18th century manner. Ìyẹn máa bí mi nínú so mo máa bá school jà. But on the other hand, my parents jà pé àwọn people ìwọ ti sọ pé Christian school làwọn. So kí lẹ̀ baka. And these things, akọ̀fin disrupt kìíní ni olóòtú ẹran tíjọ́ léyà tí mo pè yín tí mo ní pé mo wà ń patí tẹ́ gbọ́ kìíní ẹran léyà àìtí ìjẹtán àìtí ìrẹran láti gbà yẹn because my in-laws are Muslims and they love me for it. Let me tell you how harmonious we are. Because by the grace of God, I pastor a church. My father-in-law till today does not call me by my name again. Out of respect for yes. And that is how we have been living. So they will just bring unnecessary conflict. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe sọ nígbà tó ti jẹun yó wọ́n wá bẹ́kùnbẹ́kùn. Ṣé mo pé wọ́n ṣerú ẹ̀ ní Ìwó náà ní school àwọn schools kan ní Ìwó in Ọ̀ṣun state. Wọ́n ò pé kí lẹ̀ ń bá ká okay I got a public school. Èwo wá ni how can you come to my property and tell me how you want to act on my property? I don't understand it. And they do it with boldness. What am I for all you? I'm sorry, anybody that is a part of Murik. But what you know is ibiti madarubati wa ni Murik man terisi. Ìkànnì ọjọ́ kan wọ́n gbé kan wá sórí TV. Ìwọ ń wọ̀jà fọmọdún mẹ́rin mo ló fẹ́ pọnmọ lọ́mọ. Because I have friends that are Muslims that they said it got to a point in their faith and they felt this was the next step for them to take. You understand? And they were mature enough to say that, okay, this is the next thing I want to do. It is a level of understanding in my faith. If it is that, I understand. You cannot go to a place that they already have well-laid rules and say, this is what you want, especially if it is a private institution. Ní owó tó yẹ kẹ́ fi ṣe sádàkà fáwọn tí ò ní ẹ lọ fi ṣe case nítorí ẹ fẹ́ káwọn ọmọ yìí máa borí ní school. How many years làwọn ọmọ yìí máa lò ń bẹ̀? Legacy wo lẹ́ ń set? Owó yẹ ṣe fi kọ́ library sínú school yẹn. So that will be my submission for tonight. Thank you very much, sir, for listening.
Thank you very much, Pastor Fola. I mean, beautiful submission. And I actually found the old Brazil thing very funny. The person who left Nigeria. I mean, miracles happen. But I think there's nothing else to add to the fantastic submission. Let's just go to the next speaker. By the way, we're not going to bring anybody up again, please. Try and understand. We're already behind schedule. I was supposed to end by 8, so I'm just going to take the remaining 3 people, and then we'll call it a day. Tomorrow we'll have more people, and we'll also discuss the Mandilas issue. The reason I don't want to discuss it is that I want us to listen to them, and the clip is about 10 minutes long. It's important to actually hear him so that when we're responding, we're just responding. Some people like Hijab who spoke earlier, I'm sure he had seen the video. I want us to listen to everything before we have a conversation. So let's do it tomorrow. But let's have the remaining 3 people on the stage. Please let's keep it short. Let's have Madam Mimi. Good evening. And greetings to you. One second, ma. Good greetings to you, Mr. Donald, in the comment section, Prince 57, and also Mr. Wasunde Okoli. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a while, but I'm glad you're here. Madam,
if we talk about UI between 83 and 86, and UI, Muslim students and the Amuric, they said the cross at the Chapel of Resurrection was blocking their east view. Muslims pray facing the east, but the Chapel of Resurrection was built way before the mosque in UI. It almost caused a riot on campus. That was when they started all this nonsense in Ibadan. I agree with you that they always want to impose some standards that even regular Muslims in that generation did not want. People may not realize that statesmen like late Professor Biobaku were Muslims. Muslim ni Professor Biobaku. Many people will not know Daddy B. We call him Daddy B. Those of us that knew him and his wife on a personal basis. One school koni lupeju ton pe ni Yaniwura. Muslim gidi ni Mommy B àti Daddy B, but gbogbo àwọn tán kó mọ́ra àti àbúrò wọn tí ìyàwó ẹ̀ ní Lifefort nìbàdàn. Lifefort ní Ìbàdàn tí Pastor Olubi Johnson owns. Pastor Olubi is the first female Muslim lawyer. Muslim ni wọ́n. Àbúrò sister-in-law Professor Biobaku ni wọ́n. People don't know that the older Muslims were more enlightened, were more civilized. They embraced everybody. Mrs. B, Mommy B came for my wedding and her husband in church, in Chapel of Resurrection. What is wrong with these people? Yoruba yàtọ̀ sí gbogbo nonsense tó ń ṣe yẹn. That's on that. On South Africa, the person that lived in South Africa also gbogbo nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Jìbìtì náà ló ń lù ń bẹ̀. And that's still a conversation Nigeria must have when they are ready for the conversation of illicit money competing with legal money and buying up properties in Lagos. The only reason why some people are bragging about property ni pé wọ́n kó owó jìbìtì, owó drugs, wọ́n launder ní Èkó, ní real estate Èkó. And until they stop that flow of illicit money, they will continue to have this brutality because any tí ó bá jẹ́ money misroad bọ́n ṣe máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ ni. Because one worry ojú ọ̀rọ̀ South Church massacre, wọ́n gbé drug cartel, wọ́n lọ ń jà ní Anambra, ìjà tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní South Africa. They completed it in Anambra early morning ní Catholic Church. Wọ́n massacre, wọ́n shoot about 35 people. Tó ń lọ sí church láàárọ̀, innocent people ló wà ń bẹ̀ because they were looking for one drug master. Those are conversations that Nigerians have to call on the elders of the church in Igbo land. They should make a list of church elders. Already. So they need to call all their church elders to tell them, in those days, LGBT no nisha. Because as we are talking, I don't fault South Africans. Of course, I fault their tactics, but the whole idea of it, because right now, as we speak, I have first cousins who are living in South Africa. Nothing moves them because they won't harass anybody to go in South Africa legally. Nobody's touching them. So my own is, please, if you know the elders of Igbo land, I think we need to be copying them, tagging them. If they have any conscience, they're going to start talking to their people. All over the world. Now, what kind of nonsense is that? Eshe, Kenny, nice day.
Thank you very much, Malami. That was brilliant. And I mean, you hit all the right notes. I mean, you hit all the right notes. One of these days, I mean, this would have been a very good time to actually have that conversation about what happened in Chapel of Resurrection in '86. Thank you for the gift. I'm seeing some new things on TikTok. Thank you very much for the gift, Dan. Today will be a very good day to actually have that conversation, and I'm glad she actually brought it up. It happened in '86. Where we were complaining about the cross. Mosque. You know, let's respect ourselves and just live and let. This is why I don't believe. Let me say this. I don't believe that if certain people have, you know, let me say it this way. Some of this, when they come around and tell you, thank you very much, CEO Kodet, for the gift. When they tell you that, oh, let's have Sharia, it's just for Muslims, not for everybody. It's a lie. It's a lie. If you are fighting over basic things like this without having so much power, what will you do when you have this like power in your hands? You just be doing an undoing. But thank you for bringing that up. One of these days we'll have that conversation, you know, of what happened in '86. But it's a shame that we're allowing this to happen again in Yoruba. And Muslims should please have the conversation amongst themselves. And I'm glad, let me also mention that I'm glad that there are many Yoruba Muslims also speaking out against these kind of behaviors. And this is one of the beautiful things about being Yoruba. It's not seen as, oh, these people hate me or whatever. They actually know that, no, this, what's happening, right, is something that's questionable. And the Yoruba people also speaking up, who are Muslims, by the way. And it's important to acknowledge them because, you know, you need more voices from, you know, that circle to help create order, right? Rather than have this religious extremism, which interestingly, they actually pour into the hearts of young people in secondary schools. I don't know if there's no other thing to give kids apart from fanaticism. All right, let's go to the next speaker now. Have Isaleko. No, let's have Ade. Ade Glue, right? And then we'll have Isaleko. All right. I don't think she's available, so I'm probably going to bring someone else up.
Dúró ẹni pé Adé gold lẹ́nu dúró dẹ̀ mo ṣe dákẹ́.
No, I can be John Glitz, so I have two ladies. I apologize. A lot of people are trying to come up, but during time, I'm feeling bad now. But a lot of people want to speak. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to have, I'll bring you up, right? But you take 2 minutes. Because you put you 2 minutes long, okay? So that way you also get to speak. So 2 minutes max. All right, Madam Joan, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, please go on. I want to have another lady before Isaleko, because Isaleko doesn't have time. Please go on.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. One thing, I'm going to talk about briefly about this South Africa thing. The previous lady wanted Dada, wanted sorrow, but I'm going to add something. These people, I'm going to say they are women. They have failed. The Igbo mothers, they have really failed. And I don't really blame them because, like you always say, it's a cultural thing. Wọ́n kọ́ wọn ní ẹ̀kọ́, wọn mọ bó ṣe ń kọ́ ọmọ ọkùnrin bó ṣe tọ́ àti bó ṣe yẹ torí wípé kò sí nínú tradition wọn. Ṣòye yín, kò sí tradition wọn, so ṣòye yín, kò sí tradition wọn, so and obìnrin wọn really lẹ́nu, their mothers wọn really wọn lẹ́nu, ẹ̀yìn náà wọ́n máa relegate wọn ni, so nǹkan tí mi ṣe lè blame obìnrin wọn dáadáa nìyẹn, but they have really failed in so many ways. Talking about the hijab thing, Sherry, remember when I was in the university, these hijab people, tó máa ń wọlé tó máa ń balẹ̀ yẹn, àwọn ló gbégún jù láyé, wọ́n máa sin sí orí ìtàn ni, wọ́n máa gbéwé yẹn sí abẹ́ tight lórí ìtàn. They don't wear anything other than on this ní abẹ́ hijab yẹn. Wọ́n máa gbé tán ni, wọ́n máa mú wọn ni. Ìgbà tó tó time kan, they stop them from wearing things like that to the examination hall. They do it very well. I lived in Ilorin for some time. Wọ́n ṣe, ṣìnà wọ́n pọ̀ jù, wọ́n kàn máa fi kíní yẹn bora ni. Rubbish tó ń ṣe ti pọ̀ jù. When we're in school, just like the other speaker said, when we're in school, I went to Okpebi Grammar School in Okpebi, Ikeja. Every Friday, every Monday to Thursday is for the Christian prayers. Every Friday, this Fatiha, Surat Fatiha, Surat Fatiha, Momoka. I'm not a Muslim, but because every Friday we learn the Muslim way. And the Yorubas embrace everything. I don't understand when this started. And I think gbogbo wa la ní one or two things láti ṣe. Aníṣẹ́gun láti ṣe in Yoruba land. Aníṣẹ́gun láti ṣe. They should. I don't believe this hijab thing because I've seen nonsense atrocities to one commit ní school. Àwọn gan ló ń ṣèṣekúṣe jù. Àwọn tó ń fi kíní bora yẹn ló ń ṣèṣekúṣe jù. This vicinity gan tí mò ń gbé, if you see them, when they come to my salon, tó máa láwọn fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan, tó máa ní àwọn fẹ́ ṣe pedicure, tó máa ṣe mistake ṣí hijab wọ́n fẹ́ gbẹ́sẹ̀ sókè báyìí. Ẹ̀rù máa bà yín.
Àwọn tó ń wọ hijab tán àwọn ẹlẹ́yà tó ń ṣe èèyàn gidi náà wà ọ́. Ẹ máa ka sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ pé gbogbo àwọn tó bá ti ń wọ tó máa ṣe.
Mi sọ pé wọn kì í ṣèyàn gidi but àwọn ilé ìtumọ̀ wọ́n ti bà nǹkan jẹ́. Wọ́n bà nǹkan jẹ́. So if they're going to do it, they should do it in their house, not in the school.
All right.
They should do it in their house, not in the school. The school is a public place.
Thank you very much. Eshion, thank you so much. Now let's have Isaleko boy, and then we'll go to Mr. Remy and Bossman, then Babatunde.
Yeah,
no, go to Babatunde, Bossman, Remy. Oh yeah, Isaleko Ẹkáàbọ.
Yeah, I would like to take it from a different angle, like because I need to story Erukan Kabagugbo Eruje. Yes. Yeah, like it's turned. I don't want what some of our people are doing. My mom is a devoted Muslim. Alaja Allah Salatu ni Monsimi. My dad is an Anglican and is a royal father. So I'm caught in between two. I have a baptism name and Mutukeuje. So it's not all Muslims. But then no. So that's just what my take on that. We are not Lagos State is not Eko. So Saleko is a small neighborhood in the whole of Lagos Island.
Let's say that Isaleko is part of Eko.
Yes. Yeah, it's a neighborhood in
Eko. Eko is Eleko.
Yes. So that's why
I think the mistake the person made was writing Isale in front, and I think I probably also read it out because I saw it there. But thank you for correcting us. It's by Eleko of Eko. Isaleko is a part of Eko, but Eko is not Eko State. Lagos is not Lagos State.
Lagos is not
a part of Lagos State.
The name Eko does not translate to Lagos. So
yeah, but we call him above Lagos now. But that's why.
Permanent chairman of the Council of Oba of the whole of Lagos State.
Obas in Lagos State.
Yes, so that was.
Yes. That was important. And thank you very much for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing it up. So, it's also important to mention.
If I add.
Second thing, first it's important to know that there are about 50 kings in Lagos. There are many kings in Lagos.
Yes, sir.
But like he said, Oba of Lagos is the permanent chairman of the Council of Obas. Please go on, Isale. Confusing you. We are
wedding length, and I see like our people do one thing, wedding lavish, and we do 4-5 things or party for one thing. So if you're an American citizen and you have children outside America and you want to register their birth, outside wedlock where you married, share understand. To buy outside wedlock, she DNA láti proof but married. So like me, we've done like the traditional everything between me and my wife and everything, and then lost registry or anything. So but before at traditional Kiniwani, that is accepted. You have a picture for that. But that is under Nigerian law. So every other thing, hello registry, hello si church, hello mosque, hello wash off phone. Imo yati baba teti she ìyàwó ni London of in Nigeria. So I'm just trying to like chip that in now. Yoku have on your lunjeje have me, you bring me my book where Femi come on your more. But the main Yahoo is the one they both parties sit down. Kojeno Palo let Joshi tó ti gbé ṣu wá tó ti gbé kinní wá ẹ ti ṣèyàwó. Thank you, sir.
Eshion, sir, thank you so much. Mr. Bola Bolton, Eshion, thank you very much for the gift. I really appreciate it. And it's true, right? It's true. I like on party. And the party because got wrong with party or thank you very much, Tidan. And the party to call and then there's nothing wrong with it. It's just to say that we do Yoruba, our own wedding. We'll do Oyinbo wedding. We'll call it church wedding. It's actually Oyinbo wedding. We'll now do court wedding again. Then we'll now have party reception. And we on Joe. I want to watch the church. I want to watch the traditional wedding. What is watch the reception? Because we're trying to, which is, I mean, it's not good. It's not bad. Someone says even in Christian way, once you have parental consent, it's marriage. Yes, I mean. There's nothing wrong with the party, but we just have to understand the fact that there's nothing spiritual about we want to have church wedding. I mean, it sounds nice, but there's nothing like that. There's nothing wrong. I have to find a way to say it so it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with it. It's not compulsory. That's the word. It's not compulsory. You don't have to, but you should get married. If you want to. All right. Thank you very much, Isadeko, for that. Let's have Mr. Good evening, Mr. Okoli. How are you, sir?
Good evening, Prof.
Ẹkáàbọ, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would just want to say something about the hijab thing. We even thank God that our traditional worshippers, are waking up to what they are supposed to be doing. Like Prof ní article Baba Wole Soyinka where he talked about the three religions, and then he concluded that our traditional religion is the most tolerant of all religions in the world, because all these religions came to meet our forefathers. We gave them space. Now they are even trying to
even that is changing now.
Oh. Even you bá dúpẹ́ a ò lè pèèyàn pé kó wá jẹun kó tó wá máa di èèyàn tó pé ló kó wá jẹun ló wá ń dì lọ́wọ́ mú pé So we just I don't know what's wrong with our people. Like one speaker, the question they ask, ọdún mélòó ni ọmọ yẹn fẹ́ lọ lò ní school yẹn that you think hijab low man necessary. That schools is foundation. You are laying foundation for the child's future. So ṣé hijab kí ni hijab ní ṣe pẹ̀lú future in today's technology world? I don't know. But they can only try, but they won't succeed. Àwọn èèyàn kan lè try ní Yorùbá ti kọjá level pé somebody will come and use religion to break us, and then Nigeria tó ìpàápọ̀ ló ń jẹ́ kí gbogbo àwọn kìíní náà ṣẹlẹ̀ anyway. Ẹ kú iṣẹ́, Prof.
Eshion, thank you very much for that submission. Let's all of us just live in peace, right? And the funny thing is that you've noticed three people have said something about this whole Fatia thing. We're not a Fatia, and I'm a Christian, okay? I don't know into see although Omari back on me, but it is what it is. We can live. I don't know what's wrong. When some people just want to go over. It's not about going against Islam or going against. It can apply to any religion. Let's just live, enjoy your life, but don't own that thing. It is well. Let's have the Bossman. Good evening, Bossman. Then we'll go to Mr. Remy. Bossman, are you there? Going once, going twice.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? I was muted.
Okay.
Hey, I just want to say you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
You actually opened my eyes to so many things that So when I was little, when I was growing up, I grew up in the East, and no disrespect to them, but there are some things that happened when I was growing up. I thought it was just regular thing. But when I started listening to you and started listening to other people, I started seeing, oh, this was what was actually going on. These people didn't like me because I was this, you know. But that's a long time. That's a long time ago. So I just want to thank you for that, because it's making me see things that, because I was looking at Nigeria. Okay, Nigeria, we're all Nigerians, but that's not true. That's not true. Some people don't like you just because of what you are, you know, where you come from. Now to the topic, right? The issue we're talking about. So two things, right? On the hijab issue, I think this was a long time coming. This was going to happen. And if you're not careful, it's going to be worse than this. If we're not careful, they're going to start asking. Now they're already talking about Sharia in Oyo State. We had a governorship aspirant one time say, well, if he becomes governor, if they actually want Sharia, he's going to give them Sharia. And I'm asking myself, this is a Yoruba man talking about Sharia in Oyo State. You know, I'm not from Oyo State, but we're all Yoruba. And talking about Sharia to anybody that, oh, well, we have Sharia law going on in Yoruba land. Right? On the issue of South Africa, it's not just South Africa. I'm in the US, right? And when I see the way some of our people behave, the kind of dealings, the kind of things we do, you know, I'm kind of, there's a in my church, there's a South African girl, lady. For some reason, she stopped coming to church. So I was like, what's going on? I hope it's not because of this, because it's a redeemed church. And she stopped coming to church. So I was hoping, I was telling my wife that I hope this is not because of what is going on in South Africa. Maybe she's scared. So fortunately, we saw her yesterday. So I was like, hey, you okay? Well, you know, why have you not been coming to church? She was like, oh, yeah, she had to go do something. Oh, I was like, no, but you've not been coming for like 3-4 weeks. In my mind, I was like, she doesn't want to tell us, but I feel that's the reason why, because she can't, maybe she feels like, okay, well, I'm going to church with these people and this is going on over there. How will they see me? But deep down, I also know that our people, particularly the majority of people that are over there, the things they do, the things we do is crazy. The things we do, the crime we commit, the drug, you know, we can't just say, okay, well, these people are mean, these people are xenophobic, so because of that, yeah, fine. But we are also doing some terrible things in their land. And I think it's enough for them to say, okay, well, enough is enough. You got to go back home if that's what you're going to do. And now they're going to go home, they're going to do the same thing. You know? So is it the way they're doing it, is it right? No. But it's not wrong for them to say, hey, go back home if this is what you're going to do. Now, I think this is a time for everybody to wake up in Yoruba land. It's a time for us to wake up. We need to start educating ourselves. I think this present day children, people that were born in the 2000s, they don't understand the privilege we had, most of us have growing up, knowing that in my school, I went to a military school in Ikeja, right? Ikeja Cantonment. And we would do like to either Thursday or Wednesday, secondary school, over almost 30 years ago. And I can still say Fatiha till date. I can still say it. I don't even know what they're saying. I don't know what it means, but I can say it, you know? So, but this is the time for us to let them know that, hey, it's okay for you to be a Muslim and a Christian, but you shouldn't want to overlord your religion over somebody else. We don't do that in Yoruba land. You see where they do it? That's why they have crisis over there. That's why all of them are running down this way. They're running to us because we don't have that. The day we start doing that, the day a Yoruba man starts saying, oh, well, I gotta, you know, in my house, there's a church in front, there's a mosque, there's a church and a mosque right on the same street. And nobody's ever talking about the other person like, hey, man, I don't like your noise, but hey, we got to live with it. But you see, that's what is going on. So we need to wake up. We need to start educating people that we can't do this. If you want peace in this land, if you don't want Oyo, Ogun, Lagos, Oshun, Ekiti, Ondo to be like Boronu, to be like Adamawa, to be like Bauchi, then you need to stop. You need to stop this nonsense. That's all I have. Thank you very much for all you do. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that brilliant submission. See, I you know, let's just hold on to what we have. There's something we have. But I mean, people don't know what they have until they don't know the value of what they have until they lose it. I hope that will not be our story. We have something so beautiful that we shouldn't lose, regardless of our religious persuasions, or whether you're a religious person or not. You're Yoruba, and that should be enough, right? And when it comes to raising our kids, let's not raise children on things that don't matter, right? Let's raise them on values that unite our ethnicity, right? And there's nothing wrong with women to wear hijab. Just don't try and force other people to allow it in their spaces, especially when you have alternatives. Use the alternatives. Let's be reasonable. Thank you very much for that submission. Let's go to our final speaker for today, Remy Guy. Mr. Remy, Ẹkáàbọ.
Pẹ̀lẹ́ Professor Ẹ̀kálẹ̀ ẹ̀kọ́jọ́ mẹ́ta. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe announce mi yẹn ti mọ̀ pé mo gbé trouble bọ̀ ni. And the way you announced it, anyway, fine. Ẹ̀kálẹ̀ ẹ̀kọ́jọ́ mẹ́ta. So for me, left to me, or if you ask me, like all these Abrahamic religions, they have no place in an African society. That's my own opinion. But you see, all the problems of the black man, it stems from all these Abrahamic religions. If you ask me,
all the problems of the black man is from
Longbo. But that's my own opinion, Professor.
Emma, for any fact that the back in contention.
It's a gut feel. I don't have I don't have empirical things to prove it. Professor. So that one said, so for me, this religion thing is I did rather go back to the shrine than go to any mosque or church or whatever. But atheist, so let's put that one aside.
Atheist, agnostic,
whatever you call it, Professor.
Agnostic, ìṣẹ̀ṣe àbẹ̀sìn àbáláyé kó jẹ́ atheist as long as you have that thing of
I'm not even ìṣẹ̀ṣe.
Do you have the concept of Olódùmarè?
Yes.
You can't be an atheist.
Okay, thank you, sir. Professor okay, let's go on. So let's go on. Thank you, Professor. And so the next thing, like we, especially Yorubas, our fun Igbos ni blueprint all over the world. If we had dealt with them after their thing, Toshini Yoruba land 1967 to 70, if we had dealt ruthlessly with them, if they had felt the consequences of bad behavior, believe you me, one in my export global obnoxious behaviors all over the world and everything. And I ask myself, all these diplomats now that are now coming out and saying where were they all the time? People South Africa. Where were they? Now they're saying like come and compensate them. Left to me, South Africa should confiscate everything, not a damn. None of them deserve it, because you cannot go and destroy people's society and now come and be crying all over the place. Everyone got out when you saw people that live there. People that we didn't even live there. We see things they do. We see, I mean, it seems long time ago, you see them posting videos of South African women, the way they are messing them up and everything. It's all over the internet to be seen. Again, to like save them, I mean, save the others then, eh? So Professor, I guess, I mean, the South Africa should even do more. They should do more. Shegon, Professor, so a call is coming in, so they stop flow me. Shegon, so sorry, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Glad to have you here. Well, I want to speak to that Abrahamic thing you said, because it's important. So personally, I don't even like to call Christianity and Islam Abrahamic religions. I mean, I know a lot of people use this term, but I don't, and for obvious reasons. Number one, they are not the same, right? Islam and Christianity are not the same. Like, you have to just study both religions. They are not the same. Yes, they say Abrahamic because they all, are connected to Abraham, right? One way or another. I was talking to someone last week and I said, do you know that the religious identity of the patriarchs is totally different from any other person any other faith? They find a way to, what's the word? They retroactively assign identity to people that existed before even the Prophet Muhammad was born. It's amazing how that happened, but that's not the conversation for today. Are they the reasons for all the problems of the world? I don't think so. I mean, it's not like we're not having problems before colonization. We had problems before colonization. Our society wasn't a perfect society. Sometimes we have conversations where people say things like, everything was just going on fine, and then these guys happened. And even when the guys that happened, the first Muslims that got into Yoruba land were not here to fight. They traded. And the idea of Christianity also is also quite different. All right. The point I'm trying to make basically is that even that is not too tolerant of Christians and Muslims, regardless of your faith or lack thereof. Let's remember that being Yoruba is what should be paramount. All right. Yoruba identity is so important that your brother could be whatever. It doesn't change the fact that they're Yoruba. They could be traditional worshippers or Christians or Muslims or even atheists or Buddhists, right? They could do anything in terms of faith as long as it's not affecting the community. All right. It's something that you allow them to practice, and you can tell them what you believe. You can even tell them what you think, but you leave it to them to make that decision. All right. Let them make that decision, and then we cannot live happily. And we Yoruba, we can't even afford all these jokes that I see around this. We can't. We are so interconnected. We cannot. Like you don't have to like the other person's faith, but you can't do all this thing of mashallah katakiti ko possible because wala emapo adenirogun wala lagba Ọlọ́run adenirogun jamba lẹ́yìn ilẹ̀ Yorùbá Yorùbá má gbèrú sí nínú agbára Ọlọ́run. All right. And about the other guys, I mean, it is well. Someone was writing in the comment section earlier, Ozubulu stuff. Maybe another day we'll talk about what happened in Anambra State based on a conflict in South Africa, drug issues. At the end of the day, it's about society. Whatever they want is what they'll get. And I can't even tell them to change. That's not my business because they'll just insult you. The point is, I'll still tell you, Sha, because I public service, Abby. However, the important thing is to protect Yoruba land and ensure that people, and also show Yoruba people, especially the ones who say, it doesn't really matter now, like see what is happening, or it's not just in Yoruba land, and it's not just one individual, it's like I always say, it's cultural, like it's a worldview, it's a perspective that's rooted in the identity, okay? Whether it's, the superiority nonsense or the victim rubbish, or whatever it is that you see that one person does, it's a cultural thing, and it's sad. Doesn't mean everybody does it, like I was telling someone today. I said, If I said to you that there are Yoruba people who don't respect others, would I be lying? No, of course, there are Yoruba people who don't respect people. But that's not the cultural outlook of Yoruba people. That's not our value system. Respect is paramount in our value system. Okay, so if you see Yoruba person to respect, that would be a contract. That would be what's the word now? An exception to the rule. It's the same way with some of these other ethnicities. When you say a person who is not a victim, that's not because it's the from ethnicity. It's because it's an exception to the rule. But we always acknowledge them, but doesn't mean that we should let our guards down. All right. Like I want to thank everybody who has been part of today's session. Everybody who came up to, I mean, I've waited here for longer than I expected, but I'm glad we did have that session with people sharing their thoughts. But I want to quickly announce that we're starting something in September, and I want as many of us that can to be involved, right? We're starting a summit. Meanwhile, let me see this. I've looked at the back channel. It looks like a lot of people who are registering, whether to give, particularly to volunteer, many of them are in Lagos. So it's possible, and that's what I mentioned on Friday, it's possible that the location might change. We might just be having monthly events in Lagos. But the original idea was to be moving it from place to place. Let me show you. Someone said I did not bring them up. I brought you up. I called you twice or 3 times. You didn't speak, so I had to bring somebody else up. Madam Adeglo, I did bring you up. I can show you, Boso. I brought you up. I called on you a number of times. You didn't speak. 1 second, please. I want you to see this. All right. So we're starting this in the month of September. It's called Two Summit. Two stands for Tribes of Oduduwa. In other words, it's a gathering of Yoruba people, and we'll be discussing essentially the things we talk about here, but we'll be doing it face to face, so we're able to meet the people where they are. The original plan was to have it in schools and travel over the place, but we might have to just, stay in Lagos for a bit. The idea basically is every month, what we're doing on social media, we can do it there. We have teaching sessions. We also have opportunity for people to come around, and we're able to talk together about different topics. We're able to learn from each other. Okay, let you read this thing for a bit, and I'll come back. I'll just talk about the flyer, then I'll remove it, and I'll maybe bring it back up. So if you look at the flyer, I'll tell you more about the movement, about the summit. We need people to support the movement. You can give, you can volunteer, you can host or sponsor. To give means that you believe in what we're doing, and you want to, be a donor, whether on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis or just one time, So there's a form that I'm going to tell you how to get how to find the form. By the way, you can just go to linktree/Busuyoris. You'll find the form there. You can volunteer. That means basically is that that basically means that you are involved, right? Hands-on, whether with your skills, with your time. You're actually there to make sure that the event is a success. And then you can host. To host means you have a place that you want us to use, or you lead or belong to an organization that can invite us to organize such events. Now that could be in Nigeria, it could also be outside Nigeria. And then you can sponsor. To sponsor means you have a business or you have a brand, and you want, your brand to be placed not just at the venue, but also in our videos that will be coming out. Now, having said that, please go to linktree/Busuyoris. All right, you can go to Telegram, Redomi Global. You find the links there, how to give, how to, volunteer and host. For sponsorship, please reach out to me on Telegram at Busuyoris or any other platform, TikTok, Facebook, and I can get the sponsorship package across to you. But please, let's try and work together. Let's make this happen. I'm going to tell you some of the things I have not said before, or maybe just very quickly. By the way, we're going to have a meeting later this month for everybody who is joining the movement, and then we're going to go into details and all of those things. But let me just say something here. So you remember the game show we've been having? We want to have like several episodes recorded in one summit. So it's not just to teach, it's also to have game shows. So that game show then becomes, so look at the venue like a studio. The game show that we have that then becomes the content that we share, and then that way people can learn history in a fun way. Okay, we've done it here before. It's called Redomi Republic. That's a game show, and you'll find that on our YouTube channel, Busuyoris. Just look for Redomi Republic. But I'm going to put the link on Telegram channel, so you can watch it as well if you want. But please let's work together. Let's go to Redomi Global on Telegram or linktree/Busui. It's just the same way it's written. Just type it in your browser. The URL is linktr.ee/Busui Oris. Your support will be highly, highly appreciated. All right. And also, we do have the sessions every weekday, Mondays to Fridays. That's 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. I think we'll be playing less music because it's looking like, maybe that also contributes to some of the issues we're having on TikTok. I don't know, but we'll find a way around it. But it's been lovely being here and sharing today with you. I have to run now, but thank you very much for making today's session a success. To everyone who power tapped and liked and shared, whether on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook, thank you very much for your support. And all the gifters, Titan, and every other person, I remember her because she gave, she kept doing it, and I really appreciate it. And every single person, whether it was a flower, Mr. Bola Bolton as well, whether it was a flower, a gift, a rose, a coin, a hat, and the other gifts. Thank you for your generosity. May God bless you. If you'd like to support what we're doing, I'm going to put my account details on the screen. If you want to support, please feel free to do so. It will be highly appreciated, and to help us keep having this. We're doing more news than class session. By the way, last week we discussed Yoruba people in Hausa land. There's another part of the story. We've not finished the part about Yoruba people in Hausa land, but there's also the part where Hausa people in Yoruba land. But we'll see how we will finish that up this week. All right, we have a number of things to cover. Let me just put up the account details and we'll listen to the anthems and then we'll call it a day. All right. So if you want to support, right, please use this bank details, it's the GT account, and your support will be highly, highly appreciated. All right, Ashio, before we go, we're going to listen to our anthems, the Nigerian anthem and the Yoruba anthem. And we'll be doing this also when we have our physical sessions, our two summits, the teaching and the... So three main, there'll be music, there'll be poetry, there'll be... I meant poetry, not poetry as in... There'll be maybe skits and all. But then the major stuff will first be the masterclass. There'll be the open floor where everybody gets to speak and share their thoughts. And they will have the game show where people get to win money and win gifts. And we also want to see if we can make it possible that everybody that attends gets something at the end of the day. But we'll see how that goes. So please help us make it happen so that we can reach young people. Once you create things that people can relate with, then it becomes easier to spread knowledge. All right. So it doesn't look too, formal. All right. We're able to mix things up. All right. Mr. Remy says, why can't I give gifts? I don't know. TikTok just restricted again. At this point, be like I said, go create an app. But we'll see how that goes. All right. Thank you very much. If you can't give gifts, you can use the bank details, sure. If the restriction is still there, you can use this one. Is not restricted. But thank you for your support. Before we go, like I said, let's have the Nigerian anthem and the Yoruba anthem. I shall sing along, please.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. The tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
àwa ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀ ìmọ́lẹ̀ wo ni wọ́kùn lágbára ọlọ́run ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní bàjẹ́ Nàìjíríà náà ò ní bàjẹ́ ilé ìwọ náà ò ní dàrú nǹkan tó bá dáwọ́lé àmàyọrí sí rẹ̀ ní lágbára ọlọ́run. I want to thank everybody who was part of today's session. May God bless you. May God keep you. May God bless Nigeria and bless our nation, Yoruba land. I say that often, Nigeria is a country, Yoruba is a nation. And it's a beautiful thing to know that we can be both, and we can have both. So may God bless our land, may God bless our country, and may God bless you and your family. I'll see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. Thank you very much for making today's session a success. Have a beautiful night rest. God bless you. Ó dàárọ̀, ẹ ṣeun.